I
would
think
you like to
that's
have a
why it
drink?
should be illegal to get married in your 20s.
You're posting feminist content.
Yeah, loads
Do
of
you-
triggered men. We need feminism. It's not only for women.
I get what you meant. The thing is, like, you need to package it right for men. If you package it as like, oh, feminism or whatever, it's not gonna work.
You know, people think I hate men, but it's not about hating men. I hate the system, the patriarchy. You know, like, people go on dates and they go for a walk. I'm not a dog. You're not gonna walk me in the park.
We used to teach guys, go on a date, but don't give her the usual go for drinks bullshit. I gotta go buy a shirt, whatever.
Do
Girl,
like a sales assistant, stylist.
Make
Get
it
a
really
stylist
fun.
advice for free.
What made you blow up on Instagram and on TikTok? Because you got like 200,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah,
Do you know which one of your content made you blow up?
TikTok.
Yeah,
TikTok
but
for sure.
What kind exactly? Like what piece?
Feminist videos. Yeah, basically my series. If women acted like men.
Yeah,
That was
I saw that.
that was the time where it blew up. And actually, you know, I started on TikTok when there was pandemic. I think everyone started on TikTok.
All right.
Everyone was bored at home. There was a new platform. It was entertaining, a bit different than Instagram, less serious, less aesthetic. And yeah, and then kind of like I grew so quickly on TikTok, and then Instagram would follow.
Oh shit. Interesting.
Yeah, so I think it's quite important to use all the platforms that you have. Like even YouTube Shorts, you can post on YouTube Shorts what you're posting on TikTok, just to have, you know, different target group, different reach to the audience. You
Yeah,
can
same. It's just one video. You do the video anyways. Might
Yeah.
as well upload it everywhere.
Exactly.
How-
Because
how-
I think like my Instagram, I was on, I think 25,000 for like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, the algorithm was not in my favor.
Oh, bad.
And I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong?
How are you doing on Shorts, on YouTube Shorts? I'm trying to find you right now.
I wasn't consistent.
Okay. Ooh, that's a problem.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the problem.
the problem. But it's quite hard to, you know, to do all of it.
Yeah, it's the same for us. So
And it
we're-
takes time as well.
It does. What we're doing is we're targeting Instagram when we're creating content.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh yeah, fuck it. Just post it on the same thing on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and even Snapchat. Are we still doing Snapchat? Yeah? So Snapchat even has now a Reels function. Do you even remember Snapchat? I didn't even know
I
it
remember
existed.
Snapchat before was Instagram Insta Stories.
Exactly. That
you
was
remember
the
that?
thing. Yeah, that was the thing that made Snapchat
Yeah,
great.
and I thought Snapchat died. And then now,
That's what I thought as well.
like really young people, like my daughter, using Snapchat.
No shit.
Yeah, and I have no idea how it works anymore.
Man, time
Although I
flies.
was like the first
I
one
was
on
gonna-
Snapchat, and now
gonna
I have
say
no
that.
idea how it works.
How old's your daughter now?
12.
Damn. And the time flies like
I know. No, but it's quite often people think like, okay, so she had her when she was 15 or, you know,
yeah, but it's like, wait a minute, let's do some
the math is not mathing. But no, I'm a bit older. I'm an older influencer.
Do you what's your secret behind looking younger? Genetics?
Well, I don't understand this because like people are like, no way. I thought you were like 28. I'm 38 in 2 months. Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly.
How old did you guess me?
You?
Yeah.
Probably, I would say either late 20s or early 30s.
Thank you. 34.
34?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I know what my secret is. I'll tell you.
What is it?
I'll tell you later. What's your secret? Let's hear
Yeah,
yours.
but the thing is, I don't think there's a secret. I think just people are like, oh, you know, there's always this comment like, oh, you're aging well, but I have no idea how people think the 38-year-old woman should look like.
Older than you?
You
I'll tell you
think?
that. Yeah.
No way. I don't think.
Well, you don't drink coffee.
No.
That's probably one contributor. Then I'm
But
assuming
I'm not
you
a
don't.
healthy person.
Other than that, not at all.
No,
Okay.
nutrition wise, not at all. I'm not a great. Probably genetics.
So your
Probably
mom looks
genetics.
very young as well?
I think she looks normal, like
Okay.
normal her age. But yeah, maybe baby face. You know, the Polish features. Have no idea.
The high cheekbones, the eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, but I think as well, like us millennials, we age differently. I think now, like 15-year-old, they're looking like 25, 20-year-old, they're looking like 30. And us millennials, we look younger. I don't know what's the...
It must be all the radiation and the plastics,
Yeah, probably. Probably. I have no idea what's the secret, but I think the young generation now looks much older because they start with all the fillers and Botox in their 20s. So...
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, you can see.
Oh yeah? I don't see.
No, but you can see by these celebrities. Well, the Jenners, Kardashian example. I think it's the pressure.
The social media pressure thing. You see prettier girls than you.
Yeah,
all
everyone
the
wants
time
to
and
look
stuff.
like filter.
That's one whole. You know what? I often think about that with when we look at TV shows from the 60s and 70s where they're smoking, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, look at these idiots. Don't they know that's cancerous for your lungs? Back then, they didn't know shit. They didn't know the long-term repercussions of that. It was just like, yeah, smoking is great. What? I don't understand. And I think it's the same with us now with social media. People in 20 years, when a bunch of, people will have depressions and stuff like that, they'll be like, didn't these people know that social media fucks up your mind, your whole development as a child?
Yeah. But
So
I think
I'm curious.
not everything with social media is bad.
Not everything, for
Right?
sure. I mean, we're profiting.
I think exactly.
from it,
I think it's social media is quite positive, but you need to learn how to use it. Like you need to be precautious and
Yeah.
not take everything as it is.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Yeah.
if you want some water, by the way, I have
Yes, please.
still and sparkling. So,
still.
There you go. So you're with your daughter using social media, Snapchat at 12 years old.
Yeah, she does.
What's some rules do you have? Do you let her use everything, or like an hour a day, or like how is it going? I'm not a father yet, but these are the things that are on my mind.
It's quite difficult to raise a child in social media
imagine.
times because, you don't get a handbook how to handle it. Like
Yeah.
our parents didn't have this.
Yeah.
And I think it's much more difficult now. And the social pressure as well. Like I would wait with giving her a phone till she's like probably 15, 16 if I could.
Yeah.
But she was one of the last ones in the class. And it as well creates this, I don't want her to be outsider or kids making fun of her or miss out on things because now kids communicate on WhatsApp, on Snapchat, and these are the social interactions they have. We had it outside.
Yeah. Like
Playing.
normal people.
Yeah, playing
Yeah.
playing with your friends outside. But then nowadays it's different. So it's difficult, but you can't really control it as much.
That's the thing. Like that's what I'm worried about. Like
I think you need to talk a lot about the danger of using internet and that it stays on the internet, whatever you send. Yeah, and that you can talk. You think you're talking to a boy or a girl your age, but it might be a completely different person on the other side. So yeah, I always ask her to share her location, not that I want to control her, but it's for her safety.
good idea. I was thinking of that too. Just give an air tag to my kids.
Yeah,
Put
but
it
they
in
can
their
leave it
shoes
somewhere.
or-
They can leave it at
Yeah,
their
just-
friend's
yeah,
house,
yeah.
and they just go, and especially I know how I was as a kid, right? Like what we did. Like our parents had no idea. So and now, it's even worse.
That's the thing. Like especially for I almost think like little girls are in way more danger than boys.
Oh, that's always been a case.
Yeah.
The
Because
same with women and men.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So when I have a daughter, my quality of life would get so much worse because I'd be so much worried. If I have a son, like whatever happens, happens. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
But
but I think that's what we should change,
I would love that.
right?
I
Like
would
we
love
should
that.
raise boys differently.
Yeah, of course.
And teach them, not teach our girls to be safe, but teach boys not to do stuff.
That's a very
right?
good idea. That's a very good idea. Just go the other way around.
Yeah, because I think women are taking more, like they being taken accountable for their actions, and boys not so much. Right? We kind of always find excuses for boys, like boys will be boys. and you should dress differently. You should not invite them, or you should not provoke them. But the narrative should be completely different.
That's a very good...
And I actually, I wish I had a boy,
Hmm.
actually, because I think I would try to raise differently. And I'm thinking men are raised by women. So where is the mistake we do?
Yeah, that's a very good point. You brought up a bunch of good points, and it's interesting to hear your perspective from a woman. Also, when I saw your content, I mean, that's so interesting. This like how, like if women acted like men, and I found it hilarious, but also kind of eye opening because I'm a guy, right?
Yeah.
My first 7-figure business was teaching men dating advice, so I was very much in that male domain of like teaching it from a man's perspective.
I would love to hear that.
Oh hell yeah, we can talk more about this. I've actually had Mystery and Baxter on this podcast, who are like the OGs of pickup, and they still do it. It's funny, and they also look super young. Fuck yeah. That's the thing. It's like hearing your perspective of like, oh, we should teach men this and this, and they shouldn't objectify women and so on and so forth. So the argument could be, okay, teaching guys how to quote unquote pick up girls is bad. But then the other perspective that I often hear and often think about from a man's perspective is it gets worse and worse. With guys, they have less and less social understanding. They have less and less calibration because everything's digital as well. And then they're simping around on OnlyFans, giving girls that they're attracted to money instead of fucking going outside and opening a fucking conversation, right? But then also hearing it from a female's perspective of like, do open a conversation, but fucking do it right and don't creep the girl out. And it's there's so many landmines to avoid as a man. So it is as a woman too. But I think that's why I wanted to talk to you, because you bring in a very unique perspective, and you're also really charismatic.
Thank you.
And that's rare. That's rare for attractive girls, because I honestly see it every day. When a girl is very attractive, she has less incentive to become charismatic, because she's I'd be happy for you to challenge me, but I always feel like they're like, well, I'm pretty. Everywhere I go, guys come up to me and they fucking talk to me. I don't have to do much. I'm standing there. For a guy, it's the opposite. It's like, unless you go talk to someone, and unless you're funny and engaging and interesting, nobody will give a fuck about you. So naturally, guys, either they learn how to swim, aka they become charismatic, they become go-getters, or they don't, and then they just become bitter incels. And I think actually that it's those guys who are dangerous. The bitter incels who never get to talk to women. Yeah. Not the flamboyant, crazy charismatic guys that are loud and obnoxious, because they know how to handle their way through this world. They know how to quote unquote get what they want. And if they're smart about it, they know they can only get things that they want by being win-win and not just being an asshole to women. But the guys who don't know how to do it, those are the dangerous ones, because they're just fucking frustrated. And that frustration boils over at some point.
Yeah, and then they call you names if you reject them.
Exactly.
But I think being an attractive woman is not, like, it obviously you have this pretty privilege, yeah? But it's not always the case. Guys quite often feel intimidated by you, right? They're not going to come up to you.
By your looks.
Yeah, they're not going to come up to you, or they're gonna straight away think that you only about the looks, or that you are a gold digger. Yeah?
Just because you look good.
Just because you look good, because you like to do your makeup, hair, and dress up. That there's nothing else apart from your looks. So it's a curse and a blessing.
What do you think? What are you trying to teach your daughter? Are you trying to teach her be pretty but not too pretty? Be pretty but also have other... Okay.
Definitely own it.
Own it.
No one should dim your light. I like it. I think we raise girls by kind of like stopping them from being who they want to be. I think we are brainwashed from the very early age. Like when you look at this, all the Disney cartoons, right? When you ask a little boy who he wants to be, he will say astronaut, something, ambitious, a Superman. When you ask a girl, she wants to be a princess. She wants to find her prince. She wants to get married. No little boys dream about the wedding.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we kind of being brainwashed from the very early age. And even in Cinderella, women are fighting for a guy, right? They're
Really?
competing. Yeah, they're competing. The
that's
sisters
with the shoes and shit.
Yeah,
that's right.
that's the one.
Yeah.
So they're competing for a guy. And even like, you know, like the T-shirts in clothing for girls and for boys, they're completely different. So we teach girls from the very beginning not to dream too big because, you know, their faith is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of like put a brake on little girls, and it goes like this through life. Like, you can't be too much.
For sure, yeah.
But boys are encouraged to be
like,
something
go
great.
Conquer the
Go
world
for
and
it.
everything. Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts.
But then also conversely, there's probably girls out there that legitimately just say, I want a family, I want a husband, I want to get married, and I have no problem being at home and cooking for my family, my husband. But then I almost feel like modern society shames these women. And they're like, oh, you just want to have a husband and get kids? Like, don't you want more?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I feel really good about this. Like, what? Now I'm being made feel bad, and is something wrong with me that I don't want to have a career and all that? And conversely for guys as well, like, I actually love the fucking idea of being at home and cooking and having my kids there.
Yeah.
In fact, part of why I've built all these businesses is so I can just retire and have kids. And then actually my girlfriend, I've been together with her for 8 years now. She actually wants a family and gets married and all that jazz, but she also loves her job. So I can totally see a possible future for me where I retire in 2-3 years. I still have some clients, still do content, but I'll be at home fucking cooking while my girlfriend is out there at her job. And then she comes home and I'm like, I made the fish for you that you like. And she's like, I don't let you fuck that up. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, baby. So I have no problem admitting that too. But it's again, like, there's a stigma. Like, what if your daughter grows up and she's like, I've done the career thing, whatever, she's 25 or whatever. So
Yeah.
I've done the career thing. It's boring. It sucks. I want a family and a husband, and I want to serve my family and my husband. What would your reaction be?
I think everyone should live the life they want and whatever works for them. But I would teach her to be financially independent. I think as long as you might be happy with your husband, etc., but you should think about your financial freedom, because I think that's where it might start get messy.
Good point.
Right?
Good point. You don't want to be reliant on your husband.
You don't want to rely on husband. Of course, you can stay at home, and I think it's great for women, right? It's the domestic labor and raising children is the most difficult job that there is, and is not paid, right?
True.
And actually, it's such a big responsibility because we're raising humans.
Literally the next generation.
The next generation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so many of us are fucked up because we didn't have a good families, or like everyone has their trauma or whatever. I think everyone should go to therapy.
Yeah.
You either have a abusive household, or you either have maybe too ambitious parents that put pressure on you. So whatever it is, none of the families are ideal, right? And there are always some issues. So I think it's quite important to just take care of yourself, even if you are in a relationship.
My mom, she always says to me, and it's so funny because we talk a lot about it. My sister just got her first baby, so it's the first baby in the family. And she's like, as a parent, you can only fail with honor. That's all you can do. And the older I get, the more I get it. It's like you're either too protective, so now you're fucking your kid up because you're a helicopter parent, or you're not protective enough, so now something happens, or you're like we just discussed, you try to push your kid to do a career, but then it feels bad if he just wants to have family, or vice versa. It's like you can only fucking fail. And I think, again, I'm not a parent yet, but I can imagine that's what I'm gonna tell myself too once I fuck up for the first time. I'm like, oh no, the kid.
Oh, you're gonna fuck up many times. That's normal.
Traumatized forever because I told the kid this one thing, like it's paranoia.
Yeah, I think it's learning by doing.
Yeah.
And I think now we are more conscious about how to raise kids. I think we have more education than our parents had, and I think we spend, as well, fathers. They spend much more time and they are much more involved than back in the days, which I find it great.
Yeah.
For everyone.
That's again the thing. It's like kids need both parents.
Yeah.
Because it's like, again, like, oh, they don't need the mother or they don't need the father. Like, I noticed it with myself. Like, my mom raised 3 kids almost alone. So my parents got divorced when I can't remember, 5 or 6 or something like that. We still saw our dad every other weekend. My parents are great friends, like, big respect. I think they have the best divorce ever.
That's great.
As good as you can make a divorce. They made it really good. They never shit talk each other behind their back. They're great friends. And we spend Christmas together. And we go to restaurants together, and they're like giving my dad the bill, for example, and they're like, "Oh, would you like to pay for your wife?" And he's like, "Oh, ex-wife." And they're like, "Wait, what?" What am I gonna? So, but also there, like, I got raised predominantly by my mom, and I did get some ideas of like men being assholes, and men just want the hot girls. And I was made feel bad for that. Whereas we men like attractive women. That's just in our genetics. So, for example, I remember this one specific case. My mother had a friend, and her friend, she was in her 40s or something like that, and she really let herself go over the last 20 years. She became overweight, just not attractive anymore, okay? And her husband divorced and then got a younger, better-looking girlfriend. And for whatever, a certain period of time, he was the number one talking point between my mom and her friend. And they're like, oh, what an asshole, what a superficial guy. But, and for years, I was like, oh yeah, it's bad. What an asshole leaving his wife, even though she's quote-unquote fat, old, and ugly now, for a younger girlfriend. And now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, but doesn't he have a right to be physically attracted to his partner too? Like, wasn't she also at least partially at fault for not taking care of her looks, knowing that this is important for us men, right? It's we cannot change our genetics. We like.
How did he look like?
He's sporty as fuck. He takes cycling marathons or whatever that is. Like, he definitely didn't let himself go as much. He's a very sporty guy, but again, like, judging men just because genetically speaking they like attractive women, I don't think that's right. Was it right for him to divorce his wife right away? Like, probably not also, you know what I'm saying? It goes both ways. But at the same time, this is an example of what happens when you get quote-unquote only raised by one parent. If I had a father there with... My dad's a bad example because he's really fat and really lazy. But if I had a father there who would intervene and be like, hey, listen, here's the perspective of the man. And, you know, like, you grow up with 2 perspectives and critical thinking. I think that's exactly what you keep saying, too, is like, teach your kids how to fucking think critically and not take everything dogmatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what I wanted to ask earlier is, with social media, with your daughter, has there ever been any weird situations where you're like, oh my god, like some guy DM'd her or she sent something weird, and where you're like, yo, you gotta be careful with that?
No, she's not allowed to post herself on social media. I don't show her ever.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart. So her profiles are just like cat photos or something?
Yeah, she posts some, I don't know, some singers or some other stuff, but she's not allowed to post any of her face or be present.
Does she ever say, but mommy, you do it? You post yourself?
No, but I'm an adult.
Okay.
You can't do the same thing.
So at a certain age, she'll be allowed to post
probably
herself.
When she's older and wiser and she knows all the danger behind it, then yeah. But I think as well, at the age of 15, you might not be ready for all the hate you might get. And yeah, I think then kids, because they're exposed to it, they get kind of like, you know, like everyone is insecure at this age, puberty.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I still am.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone has insecurities. Me too. But then when you see all these picture perfect women, that they don't look like this in a real life, right? Because we use filter or, you know, the lighting. It's a huge difference as well.
Yeah.
And then I think when you're 15, you might be influenced by it too much, and you might not recognize that this is not a real world.
Yeah.
So I think you're not mature enough for that.
It's the same. Even I notice it. I'm like, I have photos of myself where I look super shredded, and I'm like, that's not how I look. What is this? I'm like, what? Just because lighting hits my abs or something like that?
Yeah, we post the best version of ourselves, right? And I think people quite often forget about this. That is actually, like the stories have 15 seconds, right? So at least, like, you see maybe 1 minute of my whole day, what I decided to show you. I'm not showing you my run to school, me cooking, me stressing about this, about that, because I don't have time to film this, right? And what's the point of showing it? People should know that you actually get to see the highlights of their life. And as well, I find it, I don't know, like some content creators, I don't want to shame anyone, but
let's go. Let's name them.
No, but when you see people crying on
that's
social
always
media,
the best. They're like, I'm crying, 1 second. Let me turn the camera on. And
exactly. I'm thinking, I know they wanna show the, like, be authentic, and they want to show that it's not only the highs but there are lows.
Yeah.
But I think, this is when I'm upset, when I'm sad, this is the last thing that's going to be on my mind, to put the camera on, do the lighting, and like, am I looking good? Okay, let's now start to cry. I think you don't have to show it on Instagram to know that everyone has a shit day sometime, right? And not everyone's life is ideal. So I don't think there's a point of showing you cry. I cry, but I don't think I'm going to film it.
Film it real quick. I actually have this, we have this rule, Primoz and I, because we're traveling together. He films everything. I'm like, if anything ever happens to me, like I get hit by a car, some guy punches me in the face, film it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's already happening to me. Might as well milk it.
For the views, clickbait.
Get the views in, man. I did get attacked by pigeons, and then I got really angry that he was filming it. I'm like, you help me.
And did you post it? I'm sure it was a great content.
We should, yeah. It might actually go viral. I left the window open in Cyprus.
It's all about going viral.
We do. The fucking pigeons flew in, and they couldn't find their way out anymore because it was a tiny window, and my whole bed was full of pigeon shit. And I'm like, oh fuck! And of course, he does what he's been instructed. He starts filming it.
That's his job.
Did you film it vertically?
Vertically.
Vertic. There you go.
You need to post it.
Write this down. We
it.
actually do have to check it. Yeah. That's we have to check if it's milkable. Anyways, you mentioned hate. All right, you get hate comments. You're posting feminist content.
Yeah, loads of triggered men.
I was gonna say, do you read the DM? Do you feast on it and be like,
yeah, love it.
Yeah.
The views, they go up. I love to trigger men. No, but honestly, like, you found it hilarious and open, like, like it opened your eyes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. And if I make few men see that and maybe reflect a little bit on their behavior, or maybe they shouldn't be saying these words because it sounds ridiculous when we say it.
Yeah.
Right? But so many men are triggered by this content. And I'm thinking, why?
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity.
Okay.
Fragile ego. I don't know, bad experience with women.
Probably a lot.
Yeah. It's always the profiles with no face.
Oh, it's always some simpy loners with no chicks.
Yeah, it's kind of like, there's a pattern.
What is the funniest / worst comment or DM of triggered men that you've ever gotten?
Triggered men or
anyone for that matter? Fuck it.
Yeah, all my feminist videos where actually women behave like men. Men don't like it. It's double standards. They can do it, but women can't.
Yeah.
Always calling me names. Like to the streets. Like, she belongs to the streets and all this.
Jesus.
Love it. Or always that I'm gonna stay single with cats. Like it's an insult.
Yeah.
It's my dream. I actually have 2 cats. I'm like, thank you, wishing me well.
That's so
you know,
funny.
and they quite often think I'm single because I don't really post any of my private life,
That's
like
what
my
she said,
family, my husband or my daughter. So they have no idea. So they think they're gonna insult me by saying, "Oh, you're gonna stay old and single
It's actually
with
kind of
cats," and I'm like, "I already have cats." So
you
I'm
should
on my
post
way.
more cats
Yeah.
just to feed into that narrative.
Yeah, so they think I'm an
Yeah,
old
like
single lady in my
Saturday nights
40s.
with my cats.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You should call
I'm
them.
gonna start doing
That's
it.
a branding advice.
Yeah.
You should call them your kids, you know. Look at my little
Definitely.
kids. This one is Janice.
But I think because I post as well content which tells women that you don't have to become a mother, and that's fine. Coming from a mom myself. So I think that's why people think as well I'm like a single woman, hating men, don't want to have kids, just old, grumpy, old woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes your opinions worth more. That you're not this single grumpy woman, but that you actually,
nothing bad with that, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that you
I
do
could
have.
expect from grumpy, but yeah.
But the fact that you do have a family and a husband and cats, it gives you more authority because you're like, yo, I'm. This is not just coming from a bitterness. I actually do have the husband and I do have the kids, and that
But
was
it shouldn't
always,
be a goal as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, it shouldn't be your goal. It's not like if you're not gonna get married, then you are worth less, or if you're not gonna have kids as a woman, you are worth less. But this is how society sees us.
Yeah.
Right?
Amen. Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's again, it's the same with men.
Because
as
no
well.
one's gonna, but no one is gonna really say to a man like, "Oh, you're 40, like you should have kids."
Not
because-
that, but what we do here is like, you're 40, like you should have fucking career. You should be good with women.
Yeah, but that's why we need feminism. It's not only for women. It's
Also-
as well. It's beneficial for men.
Yes,
Right? Because so you don't
yes.
have these gender roles, and you should be more like relaxed about, allow boys to cry. Because I think that's the problem as well when we when we say from the very young age you shouldn't
be a man and shit
be a
like
man.
that, yeah.
Like toughen up, and you're not allowed to show your emotions, and then they go in a relationship with a woman and they cannot communicate, they cannot show their emotions, they cannot say what's wrong with them, and it's hard.
Yeah.
So
But then also, because you're like, okay, we need feminism for men, and I get what you meant. The thing is, like, you need to package it right for men. If you package it as like, oh, feminism or whatever, it's not going to work. I know this because I've been doing this for almost 10 years. The way you need to package it for men is, oh, this is how you get laid, okay? And now go improve yourself.
how simple.
That's
Very
right. That's
simple.
right. Because
You just need to get laid. It's the
that's the goal.
The
It's
key
so funny.
word.
That's so funny. That's the key word. That's the goal. Like for me, when I was the way I came into personal development and dating advice was I always wanted to become a musician. It was my only dream since I could grasp an idea of my future. Like 10 years old, musician. I practiced playing guitar. I was practicing to get into Conservatory of Vienna, and I practiced every single day. I literally would wake up, not even go to the bathroom, just grab the guitar next to my bed, start playing, and then I would just practice, eat, sleep all day long. And then one day I woke up and I have a tendonitis on my left arm, which is, like an inflammation of your tendons. Go to the doctor, they check it, and they're like, yo, you're fucked. Like, whatever the hell you did, you fucked up your tendons, you can never play guitar again. I went to 5 different doctors that day. They all said the same. And they're like, oh, you want to become a musician? Yeah, better find something else, right? So here I was 19 years old. My dreams were gone. My purpose was burst in the flames. And then, of course, like as a 19-year-old guy, I was depressed as hell. But the way I explained that to me was not, you're depressed because you were deprived of your purpose and your plans of life couldn't work out anymore. I was like, I'm depressed because I don't have a girlfriend. That was my fucking thinking, right? So naturally, I'm like, if I can find a way to overcome my shyness and learn how to talk to girls and get a number and go on dates, then everything will be fine.
Are you telling me you were shy?
Yeah.
Really?
Nobody believes me. I was so ugly. I'll show you a photo. I'll show you a photo of how I looked like, okay? Just don't laugh. I mean, you probably will, but it's fine.
I'll try not.
Okay, so just so you have like a physical picture.
But how come? So you've done a lot of work on yourself.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like I said, like that was literally how I changed my life, and then it became my first business, teaching guys that used to
But
be
see,
like
the confidence is
a lot,
the key.
a lot. It's
Yeah,
just
but quite
like
often the confidence is viewed as arrogance.
yes, we've had a funny situation like that yesterday. This used to be me. Well, I never got that reaction. That's cute. We'll post it here on the,
You
on the
were
thing as well.
searching
Yeah,
for yourself.
I was definitely searching for myself. Yeah, here you can edit it in. So that was me. And what I'm trying to say is like, then under that North Star of like, this is how you get girls, I was like, I had no idea. So I read all these books about how to be charismatic, how to get girls. And the books that said, if you want to have girls, you need to be social. I didn't know. I was like, I was just this loner
Were they
weirdo.
written by men or by a woman?
By men, always by men. Because I'm
So
always
it's always
like,
the same perspective.
Yeah. I was
So
like,
I'm
if
not
I
sure
want to
if
learn how
that's-
to get laid, I'm gonna learn from a guy, not from a girl. Because also I was frustrated and fed up with being, having been brought up by a woman. Because that shit didn't work. My mom, bless her soul, she was like, just be yourself. And I was like, Mom, I want to grow my hair out and listen to metal, okay?
Yeah.
Which is weird as fuck for teenage girls in school, in high school, right? And I'm like wondering why no girl wants to talk to me. And my mom is like, but you're so handsome. If they only knew you, you know, like that shit, like the real
Being a
girl,
mom.
she will come to you, right? And I
Yeah.
believed that I ate that shit up. And then, of course, nothing ever happened. I was so disillusioned by my beautiful, lovely mom, by like my motherly love, that I was really frustrated.
Never believe your mum.
Definitely
They
don't.
always
all right?
say lies.
Guys, don't believe your mom. They love you, right? That's the problem. They love you too much, so to speak. And then I learned it's like, oh, you got to be social. Like, don't be weird. Don't talk about politics. And I was mind blown.
But I'm sure there were like metal girls.
Yeah, that's what I. Oh hell no!
No?
Nah. I still go to metal festivals to this day. It's all dudes, and
Okay.
that's as a funny side note. I'm rambling.
Never
now, I'm
been,
sorry.
so.
But as a funny side note, I never get hit on as much by other men than when I go to rock and metal concerts. It's so
Really?
Yeah, because I'm always there. And I always take my shirt off because it's hot and sweaty and mosh
Yeah.
pits. And then always guys, hey bro, nice pecs, bro. Like, it's so weird as shit. And I'm like, all right, dude, chill. Where are the girls? So there's not a lot of metal girls. Anyways, I was so frustrated, so fed up with that. I learned all these things, and these books said like, go to the fucking gym because you want to be in shape. It's good for girls. Go eat healthy.
It's good for you as well.
Exactly, right? That's what I'm saying. And then it's
Yeah.
like, eat healthy because it gets you more focused. So you're more on point when you talk to girls. Have more friends. Make something out of your life. It's attractive. So for me, it took all that just because I wanted to quote unquote get laid.
Yeah.
Like, and next thing you know, 2 years in, I'm going to the gym. I'm becoming a better person. I have more hygiene.
Yeah.
I'm eating better. I'm smart. I'm overperforming at university, all because I wanted to get laid. So as a guy in your 20s, if you come to a young guy and you're like, hey, you should go to the gym. You should work on yourself. You should read books. You should meditate. You should be spiritual. They're like, nah, fuck it. I don't care. But when you say, hey, if you want to get laid more, read books, go to the gym, eat healthy, and do all these things, they're like, yeah, I'll do it. So there has to be a certain incentive for young men.
So they're very motivated by women.
Exactly.
And they say we do all for men.
Now we are obsessed with women.
Well,
And that's
obsessed, but as
okay.
well, you kind of like hate us.
Because men hate
It's a
women.
love-hate relationship.
For sure. Men hate women when they can't get them. Right?
Yeah.
What do you do when you play a board game and you're losing? You're like, fuck, you just flip the table. Right? If I can't win, nobody can win. That's kind of the mentality.
Yeah, but that's
behind
as
men.
well the point where we women are called emotional,
Good point.
but men are emotional as well. But
Super
the emotions are a bit different. It's anger,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Anger predominantly.
These, these are emotions.
Very good point.
But they always, there's a difference as well. Like when you see guys supporting their football team, and they behave like animals, they just crazy, like maniacs, and they angry and they punch the wall when the team loses. But when they show women screaming when they see Taylor Swift, on
that's
the
a good
concert, then they think, oh my God, they all like. adult women behaving like a bit emotional and crazy, and
Good point.
you know, and it's allowed for men to behave like this, but it's not allowed for women to behave like this. These are both emotions, but we have more probably feminine emotions, and men have this anger, which is emotion.
Very true.
So you are very emotional as well.
We are, and it's like that's one outlet for us where we're allowed to show emotions, right? If you go to football,
Yeah, but it's
and
a
you
negative emotion.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't even say it's negative. Like when to bring it back to like metal concerts, like when we're at metal concerts, like we're screaming,
that's crazy as
we're
well.
like, yeah. But it's joy.
Yeah.
That's how we like. Sometimes there's joyous anger.
Yeah.
For us men, like nothing better.
Maybe this is for you, your way to, you know, get out all these emotions out of your system.
Yes.
And for us, it's probably to scream and be emotional and
Very true.
You know, but it's both good emotions, bad and good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, I think a lot of this is because we used to go to war and kill each other for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, more testosterone.
Exactly. What are the genes that are being passed on? Well, the fucking winners that slaughtered the neighboring village. So now we don't have that anymore. So now we got to get angry at football. And we even, if you listen to the words, we say like, oh, I hope the team is killing the opposition.
Well, you still have wars going on.
Yeah, we
a
do.
lot.
We do as well.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. But I think actually there's so much more genetic in our behavior than we think. And I've talked to my mom the other day about that. She's a psychotherapist. And so we talk a lot. We philosophize about this kind of stuff. And
Cool.
I actually think because of World War II, the Nazi propaganda, which was all like only genetics, like, oh, your head is shaped like this, which means you're retarded, which means your genes are inferior. Because of that, after World War II, it got so stigmatized, this whole idea of like things being genetic. And it's like, oh, it's all just nurture. It's all like everybody gets born and is a blank slate, and then whatever nurture is there, that will have an effect on your character. I actually think in reality it's much more genetic than we think. And it's so funny, like I, for example, witnessed my dad my entire life. I witnessed my dad loving food, and he's getting fat, right? And he's like, oh, I love eating the chow, I can't say no. I see that. I see how bad that is for his health, but I feel the genetics in me. I love food. And like I have to bring up such high disproportion of discipline to not end up like my dad, even though I saw the negative example. So arguably I would be more inclined to not eat like him. But everybody who's ever been in a restaurant with me knows I do eat like him, even worse.
Yeah, but then you work hard in the gym.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, thank God. If
You
I
have,
hadn't...
you have to unlearn things that you were...
I think so.
For
sure. So yeah, that's very interesting. Now, a lot of women that are attractive like you, I feel like they
Thank
don't...
you, but I think it's the eye of the beholder, right? Attractiveness is objective.
It is subjective, but it has an objective
Yeah.
standpoint to it. You know, things like
Yeah, but
long
like,
hair, nice figure, proportions and stuff like that. They're more or
yeah,
less...
for sure. Like, I know I'm an attractive person. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not the ugly one, but I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
Exactly.
And that's fine as well.
Obviously, yeah.
Right.
But
But as well, when you say you know you're attractive, then everyone perceives you as narcissistic or arrogant, right?
yeah, ugly people think that.
Or
Fuck
when
'em.
yeah,
You know, like...
didn't want to say that loud, but quite often, yeah.
Like, but yeah, what I wanted to say is like, usually, I'm going to bring it back what I said earlier. I feel like you're very ambitious. You're doing modeling, you're a model agent.
Oh, I'm not doing modeling.
But it looks like you're doing modeling.
Instagram model.
Exactly, yeah. You're a model agent, you're a mom, you're doing business, you're doing content creation, content management. That's a lot of drive. Do you know where that comes from? Has that always been like that? Do you feel like you're more driven than some of your female friends? What's your deal with that? How aware are you of that?
I think I knew from the very young age that I want to work in TV. Yeah, so doing Instagram is kind of like my TV, my channel, where I'm the presenter and I talk about the subject I'm interested in, or so I knew I'm good at presenting things. My teachers were saying like, oh, you should be a lawyer. And I'm like, no, TV.
Yeah,
That's
fuck,
like,
fuck that.
I'm too pretty to
Yeah.
be a lawyer. No. But yeah, I always knew that when I finished high school, I want to study journalism. And I went to London. I did my media culture communication study, went back to Poland to pursue my career. I thought they're gonna, wait for me with open doors because I have a degree from London. It actually didn't happen. It wasn't that easy. I think I had actually disadvantage of studying in London rather than studying in Poland, because all my journalist friends from Poland, they already had connections and they already had, and my Polish language kind of stopped on the high school level, and it couldn't develop academically. So when I went to TV, because I did, I worked as a news reporter in Poland, yeah. So I did have difficulties to find the words.
No shit.
Yeah, because it was kind of like high school level, talking about the politics.
You don't read it off a teleprompter? Is that not what you
No,
do
because
in
that's
news?
the presenter. Yeah, I wasn't a presenter. I was a news reporter, so I was like you couldn't see me.
Okay,
you couldn't see me. You could see my hand with the microphone. But I got to, talk to interesting people, like the top politician in Poland. So that was quite interesting, and I loved it. I worked sometimes 12, 14 hours a day. But just being surrounded by all these people, creative people, the newsroom, the producers, the cameramen, and different subjects. It's not like 9-to-5 job. I knew I'm not built for 9-to-5 job. Like I knew that I want to do something creative and have like that every day looks a bit different. So yeah, and then kind of like I did this internship. That was an internship, and I was offered a job like as the only intern, but then they never signed a contract. So it was kind of like they were kind of like using me a bit.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that's what they do, right?
Fuck.
You just get the intern do the job.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I tried to go to the radio station or other TVs, but they said exactly the same, like internship. And I'm like, I need to pay my bills, so I can't do internship forever.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like met my husband, and I thought, okay, let's try it in Vienna, learn a new language. It's cool to say I lived in London, then I lived in Vienna. If I don't like it, I can go back. And it's been 14 years.
Damn. And then you just made your own, like, fuck it. I'll make
my
own fucking channels.
Well, exactly. I'm like, I don't need you or anybody else. I'm just going to make it on my own. And I think now, like I didn't have, like, there was no Instagram before. Like when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
There was no Instagram before. There was no platform. I think there was YouTube already, but there was no such a access, or didn't really know much about it. And fortunately there is Instagram, there is TikTok and all these platforms. And now all these young people, they can make so much money online. Like now we have millionaires in their 20s, which is great.
That's the cool thing, because like you said, is like these newspapers or news TV stations, anything in traditional media, they knew how much leverage they have over young people like us that are desperate for money. They want to make it. So like, oh yeah, internship, you'll be fine, And then social media comes along and it's like, yo, you don't need any of that shit anymore. Just like, I remember when I first started social media with YouTube, that was 12, 13. Like, I still needed a camera. Like, you needed to buy a camera because the phones didn't have fucking camera. There was like iPhone 2 or whatever. And nowadays, you don't even need anything. It's like, oh, you have a fucking iPhone that is younger than 10 years? Go fucking, like, press the button, talk, done. Okay, press the button, publish, create auto-generated subtitles. And, I mean, we have, for example, something that we offer for our clients. These are viral templates. There's 17 viral templates based on my most viral reels, and they're like broken down, so you can go ahead. You see the script, and you're like, okay, here you insert this, like your audience. Here you insert point one, what do you want to say, and so on and so forth. And it worked great. So people go to them, they use them, and I mean, of course, you cannot predict that they go viral, but they have a very high chance of going viral. And then there's people that they have 0 posts, never done anything, and their first video hits like 10 million views. 10 million views. And it's almost like we're at a stage where we're like, yeah, but that's not that much. Or someone gets 10,000 views, right? That's not even considered a lot anymore. Like it only got 10,000 views. Yeah, but then imagine 10,000 people in a room or in a hall. That's a shitload of people that just watched your content. You're not famous. You're not on TV. You don't have to be smart, like nothing. It's just like if you're able to say something relatable, like you're feminists, if men would say, like, would talk like women and so on and so forth. Like if you're relatable, if you catch a trend, if you catch something where people agree with you or they think it's funny, you're good. Like all of a sudden you got all this attention on you. And the moment you have attention, now you can sell your own stuff, someone else's stuff. You can sell physical products.
Yeah, it's never been easier to
it's
make
never
money
been easier
in such a young age.
And that's the thing. And it's like, that's also something where I notice a lot of young folks having an insane advantage compared to older folks. Because like we for example, we've had Noah Morris on this podcast, YouTube prodigy genius. He's like 19, or by the time we had the podcast, he was 19 years old. And he had like, I don't know, 20 channels that just get millions of views. And he's right now traveling around the world. He's making like 100K a month just from fucking YouTube views. Because he's like 19 years old. He grew up watching stuff and he's like, oh, that's boring. The hook sucks and yada, yada. And then you see people that are incredibly intelligent that have businesses in the offline world. We have a lot of offline consultants coming to us. They got like, 20 years of experience under their belt, multiple degrees. And they're like, oh, I want to do social media, right? And then they're like, my social media is not working. I think I'm shadow banned or something like that. And then you look at their content, it's just boring as hell. Like there's no hooks, there's no relatability. And because they just didn't grow up with that, they don't understand that. They have no problem with like clicking on a video and watching it for 10 minutes, even though it's boring. A normal person nowadays is like, oh, it's boring in the first 3 seconds. I'll scroll away and watch something else. So that skill set are certain things that younger folks have an advantage of compared to older folks. But if you can learn that, like I said, like you use templates or you learn it from somewhere, you leverage that, you have a lot of power, and it's very, very easy to sell, whether you want to sell your own products or courses or whatever, or someone else's. And poof, you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to get a degree. You're not reliant on someone else giving you an opportunity. You just create your own fun.
Yeah, but I just think that it's not for everyone. Like not everyone's going to be successful, right? And I think loads of people like there are some scammers on social media. Yeah, there's 100%. So many 20-year-olds posing with not their Ferrari and claiming that they're self-made millionaires, right? And they're earning so much money. I think there's need to be as well a reality check.
For sure.
Like me as a content creator as well, it's not like you are self-employed, right? You don't know how much you're gonna make every month. You need to work hard for that. Every year, you don't know how many brand deals, like yearly brand deals you're going to get. So, and you have a constant competition, right?
True.
And you need to keep up with the trends, with being relatable and relevant. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And, the hate comments, the mental state of mind, right? You need to deal with all of this. And I would say it's quite lonely job as well, because most of the time we are at home creating content.
Yeah.
You see, on Instagram, the highlights and all the events we're invited to, etc. That's nice as well. But most of the time we're at home. So like when my husband comes home and he wants he works in the office, so normal standard job. So he finally wants to be home, right? And I want to go out. I've been the whole day at home, and I want to, do something and go out. So, but sometimes as well when you have too many events, then your social battery is done. Yeah, because it's quite a lot of networking. It's building the partnership with the brands, with the PR agencies. So, there are different stages of this.
It's a business.
It's a business, yeah.
And
but I'm just saying, that everyone thinks is so great.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, like everyone can do it. No, like some people are good at something else, and depends on
the entry barrier is very low. It's easy to start it, but it's a whole other thing to be good at it and actually make it work. But yeah, like I said, like, ultimately it's a business, and businesses even before social media were exactly like that, right? They were like, I always feel like with businesses, and I talk a lot to my clients about this too, it gives you the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Definitely.
Because a low in your job is like, yeah, whatever, my coworker sucks, or I didn't get a raise, yeah, whatever. You're still gonna fucking eat unless you get fired, right?
Yeah.
Or even when you do get fired, you're like, okay, you have no income, go find another income. That's the lowest low that you get as an employee. The lowest low that you get as a business owner is like, you have staff to pay. That staff has family. You met some of their kids. You met their husbands' wives. You have advertising to pay. You have a team. You have a reputation to defend, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit, like one of our ads got turned off because of some tech bug. We're just going to make 50K less that month, right? I need to fire someone. But I know that person wants to propose to his girlfriend. Now he can't do that anymore, right? That's the kind of lowest low. Like, I don't know what I'll do with my staff, right? That's arguably much more stressful than just like, oh, I got fired, I have to find another job. But then also conversely, what's the highest high you would get at a job? Like, yeah, I got promoted, or we did something cool, we finished a project, cool. For a business, is like, oh my God, I went viral. Oh my God, that person that I've looked up to my entire life sent me a DM, wants to collab. Or holy shit, I made as much money in a single week that I made in 2 years before. Like, that is the highest highs. And so it's a lifestyle of extremes, so to speak. And not everyone, like you said, can handle those extremes. Not everyone, because I've seen people freak out with the highest highs. It's called success barriers, where they're just like, they can't hold on to that lifestyle, and they subconsciously sabotage themselves to get the business back to a size where they're comfortable with. I fortunately have been blessed with very, very weird boundaries. I haven't self-sabotaged myself yet. I was always like, oh, let's make more. Like $500,000 a month. Let's make more. Fuck it. I don't know. Why not? At least I haven't found that barrier yet. But then also, like, if you can't handle the lowest lows, you're also really, really fucked. And I've seen this a lot because we have beginner offers where people come to us, they want to start a business, and they all say they want to make a ton of money. They all like, oh yeah, what's your goals? Oh yeah, 100K a month. And then they make 5K a month. And we're like, okay, next steps to get to 10K, 20K, 50K a month. And they're like, actually, I'm good. Like, I'm making 5K a month. I can chill. They all think they want it, but they don't want to do the work that they need to do in order to get there. And that's something where a lot of people don't even know themselves yet. Like, are you really willing to grind it out for 2 years without cashing in on your success and being cool and posting the rented Lambo, telling everyone you're so awesome? Are you really going to be willing to eat shit for 2 years and hire people and then get lied to and have to fire people? Like, that's something else. And you got to be okay with that. But then conversely, for the people who are okay with that, they're just going to crush relatively easy because there's so many people who don't want to go that extra mile. And your competition is fucking lazy, is fucking dumb. They're lazier and dumber by the day because people are short-form gratification. They're focused on short-term gains. Nobody thinks long-term. And the folks that do think long-term can actually rise to the top pretty easily.
But I think as well, as a content creator, the job is so unstable.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
You can get cancelled.
Yeah.
The next day.
True.
And you're gone.
Yeah.
Like, you're done. Right?
Because 100%.
we live in this cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Like, you might say something, do one mistake, and you get cancelled.
A friend of mine got cancelled.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he was one of the first ones that got cancelled in 2015, before cancel culture was even a word. He was the most hated man in the world. Like, literally,
what did he do?
Like I'll tell you, the New York Times most hated man in the world. It was funny because we would literally then, so he was also a dating coach. He now does spirituality coaching. Shout out.
Okay.
And that's nothing secret. Like, I'm not throwing anyone under a bus here. And he was doing dating coaching, and he was like, back in those days, we were just challenging each other, like who can say the most provocative things and do the most provocative things. So he had a video of him being in Japan go viral. And Japanese culture is very polite, right? So
yeah.
he's this white guy, American, going to Japan, and he's like, look what I can do. Nobody is stopping me. And he did some inappropriate things, nothing too extreme, but it was still not nice. I definitely don't support that kind of behavior. And again, this is not the point of this conversation, but that got leaked, or like some crazy woke mob found it, and they just started a petition to like stop him and cancel him. And he was making good money back then. He was probably making $1 million to $2 million a year as a dating coach, traveling the world, big brand, and they completely canceled him. And the crazy thing is, what happens is, at first, it was just like a Twitter shitstorm, like a bunch of feminists on Twitter, like, oh, he's so bad, wait. But then it started taking off, and then they started contacting, for example, his bank. And they're like, oh, are you supporting this guy? And the bank is like, what? Who's this? It's just one of our millions of clients. And they're like, if you don't cancel his account, you're basically supporting sexism, right? That's how they pressure banks, or anybody for that matter. So they're like, oh, okay, we're going to close his account. And he was like, can I get the money? Oh, no, that's it. Like, close the account now. Close the account, close the merchant, meaning the payment processor. All his accounts got taken off. He was not allowed to enter countries. I think to this day, he cannot enter Australia, the UK, Canada, and South America, and all of Asia. Can't go there anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just got put on lists,
Still okay with Europe?
Yeah, I think parts of Europe are still fine. But yeah, like he got full on canceled because of that.
And what is he doing now?
And then it became like every day it got worse. Then they started finding his mom. So now they're so crazy. And that's the sad thing, because nobody talks about that side. There were journalists that would break into his mom's house and just like force entry and like stick a microphone in her face. Like, what do you think about your son? Da, da, da. Like crazy as shit. They would find his family. They basically tried to ruin his entire life. And I know, as a personal friend of his, that really affected him, right? Sure. But also he's a smart, hardworking fella, and he's like, okay, I'm going to pivot my entire brand away from the dating coach towards trauma spirituality coaching, which also fits to that, right? Because he's like, this trauma got created by me. I had to go through that. I had to grow over 2-3 years, and now I'm teaching you how to do that same. And now he's crushing it. He's making now more money than ever before. Everybody loves him. So
trauma is more in than dating now.
If you do it well, for sure. Yeah. And the cool thing is, like,
but women. It's a good example of kind of monetizing.
Own your shit. Yeah.
What happened to you?
Make your, what is that saying going? Make your story, I forgot the saying, but yeah, make it your story, basically. And a lot of these women that would have thrown him under the bus years ago, they're now his clients. They go to seminars, and he does these like crazy seminars where he gets people on stage, and then he gives them a breakthrough and stuff like that. It's really cool stuff.
You never know what life
gives you. The lemons the life gives you. Yeah,
sure. But it's really like you need to make the best out of the situation you're in.
And that's why I have such huge respect for him, because he would have any excuse to be like to turn bitter, like we've mentioned before with, for example, men that can't get women, like, fuck everybody, the world is unfair, blah blah blah, yada da. And it's so easy, the older you get, the more shit you're getting thrown at, whether it's an international most hated man in the world shitstorm, or whether it's just a bunch of women rejecting you on that weekend. It's so easy to fall into the mindset of like, fuck everyone, and the world is unfair, and the game is rigged, and all the girls are bitches.
Yeah, the victim card.
Yeah, it's so fucking easy to go turn bitter. But the problem is, what do you get when you turn bitter other than just a little bit of self-pity? You're not going to get shit. This world doesn't reward self-pity and victim mentality. This world rewards...
But there's so many.
There is so many.
On the internet.
This world rewards people who say, all right, fuck it, brush myself off and keep fucking going. Everybody loves the story of the underdog who was dead last. Checo Perez in Bahrain 2021 or 2022, where he got hit by Charles Leclerc in the first corner, and he was last. And he just drove the race of his fucking life and fucking won the damn thing. On his last race for a team that had just kicked him out, won the fucking thing, boom, gets signed by Red Bull, the best, strongest team on the grid at that time. So people love that story, right? Yeah. So everybody has to choose themselves. Like, whatever you're going through right now, your girlfriend broke up with you, your husband got divorced, your kid doesn't respect you, you're fat, you're unhealthy, you're broke, whatever it is. Realize that there's a story to be told 5, 10, 15 years from now. And that story could either be, it broke me and I gave up and the world sucks and it's unfair, or it broke me temporarily, but then I brushed myself off. I got the fuck up and I go get what I wanted, and now I'm crushing it, and now I'm even stronger than before. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, and I think you need to believe in yourself first. No one will believe in you like you believe in yourself, because some people might not understand your goal, your dream, because they are not capable of doing it, because they have their own fears to pursue that. And, you know, like whatever idea you have in mind, and when you share with your friends, it's quite often friends and your close family that will kind of like
hold you
stop
back.
you, hold you back and stop you, because they don't understand the dream, or they don't have capacity,
or they're afraid of losing you as a friend, as a partner, because when you're crushing it and they're not, will you still want to hang out with them? I mean, of course you will, you know, but their own fear of losing
but I think
you.
it's quite important, the circle of friends you are surrounded by. And it's quite often as well, when you're crashing it, you might not have that much in common with other friends, because you feel like they kind of drag you down, whatever you're gonna do, like they're not support, like they say, oh, you know who your friend is when you're in need, but actually it's the other way around. You know who your friend is when you're actually successful, and who supports you, who's clapping. That's your real friend.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
People start shit talking you, like, oh, you think you're something better now, and you're like, oh,
I'm actually, I'm thinking as well, like, the most support I have is actually from people I don't know.
Wow.
Right? Like all the comments, or like on every post, every like, every message or whatever, is from strangers.
Have you had...
I know, like, some of my friends, like, they're not into social media or whatever. I don't expect that. But, sometimes you think, do you know what I mean?
Have you ever had a situation where you found out someone was shit talking you behind your back because of your social media presence?
No, but I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, I think at the very beginning, like when I started Instagram, and everyone was like, it was the very beginning of Instagram actually, and so it was kind of like Facebook, but just with pictures, right? And people were posting pictures with, like, on Facebook, so like with their family, with friends, whatever they were doing. And then I was posting like this as well, and then I started posting pictures of my outfits, so just me. So obviously people were like, oh my god, she's so in love with herself and she's so narcissistic, and all she does is just like shopping and and just showing the outfits and showing off. But they didn't know what was in my mind already. And even my husband was like a bit skeptical at the very beginning, and there was like, again, a bit heated conversation about this, like, how many people do that, and why would the brand send you, the clothing? And that was actually another conversation we had. So he kind of like, I think he didn't understand that you can make money out of that. And that's fine. But I knew, why am I doing this and what's the goal? And then on that day when we had this conversation, on that day I got my first collaboration. It was like barter basis, but it was like clothing. They will send me clothing in exchange of photos, and I was really happy. And I'm like, there you go, in your face. And then I started, and it kind of like, it's like a snowball. You started collaborating with one brand, the other brand noticed you, and then they were sending me clothes. At first, I was just happy with having clothes. I don't have to shop, right? I just have clothes.
Sick. What year was that? Sorry to interrupt.
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know, 2017, maybe 16. Yeah, but it was as well, like, I was kind of like starting, but not really taking it seriously. I was still, I had a different name on Instagram, because I didn't want my friends to find me. I didn't want anyone to know, right?
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of undercover.
Yeah.
And it's always the same, like, at first they laugh at you, and once you're at the certain level, or you have some kind of success, they start asking, how did you do it? Right? So I think whatever idea you have, whatever goal, whatever dream you have, just don't listen to anyone. You know, like you can try, you might fail, but there's no success without failure, right? So you just need to keep going and figuring it out and learn your lesson. And yeah, some people might not understand, but it doesn't matter.
Fuck them.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and look at me now.
Look at her now.
No, but you know, like I was kind of as well moving to Vienna, then being a mum, not knowing the language, having a degree in media, but not knowing the language. My degree, it has everything to do with the language. So for me, it's either like I can work in English or in Polish, but not in German, right? Okay, I speak fluently German now, but I won't be able to work in media, right? It's not, I always gonna do daddy das mistakes. Yeah,
geez,
we'll never learn. We'll never learn. But that was the thing. And I was like, I had to go back to retail, to work in retail. Yeah. And I was like,
what the fuck? I got a degree. Like,
I have a degree, like I studied, like, why am I going back to that? Like I did that when I was a student, but it was kind of like the language barrier, being a mom, so I couldn't work full time. So I started doing Instagram on the side because I was really unhappy. I was like, kind of like, okay, I'm not satisfied. Like I understand some women might be happy with just being a mom, and that's fine. But I always knew that I need something more than that. Yeah. I'm satisfied being with mom, but being a mom, but I need as well, you know, some kind of career, because I know as well, my daughter is 12. She's going to be, you know, like she's going to be 16, 18. She's going to have her own life going. And then me not having a job or kind of like career passion, then I would just be bored.
That's a good point, actually. I never thought about it like that. Like, what do you do when the kids are out?
I don't know, make another kid?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do that or find something else, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe you just support your husband when you have like a business together. So then you kind of like take part in that, which is fine as well.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
But but then I started Instagram on the side. And now I'm like a full-time content creator. I have my social media agency. Sick. Well, but that's why I don't like the question, like when they ask, what do you do? I hate to say I'm a content creator or influencer. I never say that. I always say online marketing agency.
Fuck yeah, sounds so much better.
Right?
Like, so
no,
much
but right?
Better. Yeah,
because when you say you're an influencer, straight away they think, okay, you don't know.
You're just taking
selfies
and
yes, you can't do anything.
Your butt around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very underestimated job.
Yeah, for sure.
The people don't take you seriously. Yeah, loads of people don't understand how you can make money out of Instagram, and they just think you're just narcissistic, taking photos of your outfits whole day, and it's just this.
Hey, real quick, do you know what the number one predictor of wealth is going to be in 2024 and beyond? Brand building. We're in the third wave of wealth creation. First wave was government-created wealth. Second wave was corporation-created wealth. And the third wave is the individual who's creating wealth with their personal brand. If you don't have a personal brand, it's going to get increasingly more difficult for you to generate income for yourself. That is why I've created a free secret video that I have over on my website that will teach you everything you need to know in order to build an audience for yourself, whether you're a business or a personal person. It will help you tremendously with going viral and growing a brand. There's tricks that I've actually found from some of the biggest content creators in the world, like Mr. Beast, for example, and I put these tricks into use for myself, for my own brand, and also tested it with my clients, and I put them in this free video. I'm going to link it down in the description below. You can see it right in the description. You click on that and then you can watch the free video. It's too powerful for me to show it, on YouTube or something. That's why I have it on my website. So enjoy that. And now also enjoy the rest of the podcast. You mentioned something interesting earlier, like networking, getting brand deals, and so on and so forth. And that is something that I see with our clients a lot. We help them build a brand and then they get brand deals and so on and so forth. How was that for you, that experience? Specifically, as a woman, do people take you seriously when you're reaching out to brands or to for any sort of networking matter where you're talking to guys? I can assume they're misreading that as like you're trying to flirt with them. They're like, oh, I got the game. How walk me through it?
No, I think because Instagram influences, it's predominantly women industry, right? So you kind of like in PR agencies, they're as well mostly women.
Oh, no shit.
So we
Okay.
deal with women. Yeah. There's not many industries, right? It's just the modeling and
Fashion kind of stuff.
fashion
Yeah.
content creator. So it's not like this. They do treat me seriously because
There's a lot of infighting, because I always hear that women often hate other women. They're instantly in competition with them because like, oh, this girl's prettier than me. She's more successful. Da da da. With guys, it's more of a direct thing. With women, it's more like an
I think
indirect.
actually that we quite supportive.
no
Like
shit.
I find, yeah,
That's cool.
I find it. I think other women bringing other women down are the women who are not successful, or like not only women but people who are not successful. Like you're never gonna get criticized from someone who does more than you. They will encourage you to do more. They will support you. Only people who are not happy with their life, they're going to criticize you for what you're doing. And because we all do the same thing, we kind of like support each other, and we know, and you know, some of like my friends out of the industry, they will not understand. So it's cool to have people from the industry because we know like, oh, this brand deal, or how they how they treat you, or how they, what expectations they have for what the offer was, etc. So you can talk about this stuff. And no, I think it's quite supportive. I don't think it's, for sure there's some kind of competition. Like sometimes you think like, oh, why did she get this brand deal, and you know, like what am I lacking? But then you kind of like do a self check, like why do I feel this way? Maybe I should then work harder or change something. So you kind of like need to reflect on yourself.
Yeah.
Like it has everything to do with you, why you feel like that.
Quiet
about
the ego,
this.
take the lesson.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a space for everyone. Everyone has a different approach to, you know, we are being creators, so everyone has a different idea and different approach how to present a product.
Yeah.
So I think there's space for everyone.
How much of the brand deals that you've gotten over the years are you reaching out to them versus them reaching out to you?
Well, obviously it got easier
Yeah.
with the time, right?
Yeah.
So because you collaborate with the brands that it's not only one-time collaboration. So once you have this, establish your position, and you have these connections with PR agencies that they represent the brands, right? So you are in contact with the PR agencies, or you can work directly with the brand. So yeah, but I still reach out to brands.
How do you do it?
Just
like, hey, I
write an
love your
email.
stuff.
Yeah,
Can you send me
just
some stuff?
write an email, write a DM that I think that will match, you know, perfectly. It will fit the style that I have, and I would love to introduce. You know, I love to introduce as well new small brands to my audience, because you know, like everyone can get the high street stuff, but it's quite nice to support local designers or like small businesses that don't have maybe the budget. But sometimes, you know, I like the stuff, I would wear it. So instead of buying it, I'm just going to promote it. So yeah.
What was your coolest, most favorite brand deal you've ever done?
I don't wanna.
Or one of the coolest, or a cool one?
Well, I was really happy to start working with being invited to the events or press trips. I think press trips are quite cool, although it's quite a lot of job. Like it looks like it's just, you know, us enjoying ourselves.
Yeah,
but
that's what it looks like.
it does look like this. I think that's what people see. It's only the tip of the iceberg. They see the end result, but they don't see what's behind. So quite often on the press trips, we're like squeezed as lemons. Like the schedule is like you don't even have time to relax.
Yeah.
But I can't complain because I rather do that than sit in the office because it's not for me. And you get to know the people behind the brand. You get to know other content creators from all over the world.
Sick.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can get inspired by people, and it's so cool. It's such a cool job, honestly, and I'm very grateful for it. But I worked for it, right?
You have to work for it. But that's also why the podcasts are so amazing. Like I always walk away from every podcast super inspired. Like no matter who I talk to, I'm like, because sometimes it's like a crazy week. Like this week's actually pretty crazy. We're in Vienna for a couple more days. We shoot nonstop. And you're just like, damn, I'm so tired. And then you talk to someone for 2 hours and like, no, man, this is epic. Let's do more. Like you should for sure do a podcast. It fits so well to what you do and who you are. Yeah. Because
journalist.
Yeah, you're a journalist. You can have easily super long conversations. You have contacts already. Like, you know all these people. Like you said, like you meet creators and stuff like that.
You can give me some tips.
Fuck yeah. Like, it's the best thing ever. And like I said, like, because also what you said earlier, it's like, it can be a very lonely job sometimes because you're just at home creating stuff. But then also, it can also be like way too many conversations and people and all that jazz. We have a podcast tour coming up. We'll literally be gone for like 2 months. We'll go to Portugal first, then Marbella, then from there to Miami, then LA, then Scottsdale, then Miami again, Austin, New York. And it's all just like talking to people. It's like, oh, in LA we'll talk to this and this and this guy, then in Miami this and this, and each conversation is 2 hours, and it's basically like I won't even see the city, you know what I mean? Like I'll be there, and I'll be like, yeah, hotel, and then the podcast studio, and that's it. And then maybe in the evening grab some steak.
I think that's another point of being content creator, that you have this freedom to work.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, to choose your own time, to work from whenever you want.
Yeah.
And as well, I have much more time for my daughter.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because
you
I
can
work.
Just choose when
I work when she's at school. I can bring her to school. I can pick her up. I can take her to her activities. I can, like whenever she has time off from school. Okay, we're going somewhere. I don't have to ask for if I can go on holidays.
Yeah, that's actually
I don't have to ask
anyone.
Point.
Plus, you can even take her with you probably then later when she's older. You're like, oh,
yeah,
I have
and even
to go
when I
to
have like hotel collaborations, we get to see. We get to see cool places. Like I take my family with me, and it's
a sick idea.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's so cool. It's like plus, what's always been a goal of mine is like all the cool things I do, I want to document them. All the conversations I have, I want to document them. I almost feel like things are a waste for me personally if I only do them for me. But if I film them, or I record them, then now everybody can profit from that. And like I said, like I do the podcast just because I honestly want to talk to people. And I'm like, oh, but we're also happen to record it. And it's like, hey, folks, here's the latest conversation. And people really love it. Plus, now they resonate with your brand. And it's scientifically proven that for every $1,000 you want someone to spend on you, meaning your product, your program, whatever it is, you need about 7 hours of them consuming your content. So if you do a podcast that's 2 hours long, you're already almost halfway there for someone to spend $1,000 on you, simply because they hear your voice, they see your face, they start trusting you. You said it yourself earlier, so many scammers out there, so many fakes. But the thing is, it's really hard to fake a 2-hour conversation with someone. Yeah. It's easy to rent a Lambo or walk up to someone who owns a Lambo and say, can I take a photo of it so everybody thinks I own it? It's a whole other thing when you actually have a conversation. People get to hear what you have to say, what's in your brain. So they're like, oh, this guy isn't just posting fake flexy videos of themselves in fucking Dubai. That person actually has knowledge and expertise in any given field because I've been listening to their stupid podcast. Yeah. So things like that are tremendous for the trust that you're building. And then, then you have YouTube videos on top of that are like 10, 20 minutes long, and just people can go down a rabbit hole. Next thing you know, I hear this from our sales guys. They're like, oh, I talked to this person and they already knew they wanted to buy. They watched all your stuff over the last 2 weeks, and it's just a breeze. Now, our sales team is really, really killer. We spent like 2 years building up a sales team from scratch, hiring, firing, losing really good sales staff, gaining better ones, getting better at hiring, structures, internal training, scripts, and all that. So we're really good now. Like our guys convert someone completely cold. Like someone comes in, sees an ad, next day they buy something for 20K plus. So we have that. But nonetheless, like might as well make it easier, if you can make it easier for your sales staff, just by posting a lot of content out there. And I almost feel like it's weird nowadays because 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was a bonus if you had free content. It's like it makes things easier. Nowadays, it's almost like suspicious if you don't. They're like, oh, I saw this guy's ads, but there's no YouTube videos. That person doesn't have a fucking podcast. What is this even legit? Is that person real? Like, do they really exist? So, like I said, I can wholeheartedly recommend you podcast it up.
But that's why when I started TikTok, because like Instagram was only fashion and photos, and I think on TikTok you can see my personality more. Yeah,
true.
Right?
True, I noticed that too.
Because as well on the pictures, people think like I don't smile, right? So people think I'm a bitch. Yeah, but it's true. Like that I'm very arrogant, or like I'm posing confidently.
Oh, that's funny.
Like very confident.
Yeah.
So they didn't really see my personality, and I think through TikTok, like they can say, "Oh, you're actually funny," or like you don't take yourself that seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite hard. Like now you have Instagram stories, but before it's quite hard to see someone's personality just on Instagram.
Good point. Yeah.
But now I started as well posting my TikToks to my Instagram.
I would
so then as well,
that.
I think people see a bit more of me.
Yeah.
And not just
not just the photos and what they think of you.
Yeah.
What do
exactly.
you?
But I just as well, I wanted to kind of like spread a little bit of message in a funny way, but like you like what it did to you as well, like you started a bit reflecting on that. So
that's the best thing, if you can be entertaining.
So it's not that serious, like you shouldn't take it seriously, but maybe a little bit, like just reflect a little bit on.
That's the best thing, if you can be entertaining on the front end, and then people are like, but they do have a point. Like that's how you get them, like, oh, that shit's funny or that's provocative, fuck them. But they do have a point. Like that, whenever someone comes back and be like, they do have a point, that's how you know you're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect example of that is people like Andrew Tate. Crazy fucking front end, like, dude, what color is your Bugatti? So people are like, what a tool. But then they do see, for example, a 2-hour conversation, they're like, he got some points. Maybe not all of them. Maybe you don't agree with all of them. But then also you hear him talk. Exactly. You hear him talk about like work ethic, make something out of yourself.
Do you know this girl Pearl?
No, I'm not that deep into it. What happened? You're laughing. Who's
Have
Pearl?
You heard about the Pearl?
Let's hear it.
Oh,
let's get the drama.
She's a pick me up girl. Like she's a.
What's that? What is a pick me up girl?
Like she wants to be picked by men. Like she wants to. She's like. She thinks women should not be able to divorce, women should not work.
All right.
And she's like Andrew Tate, but in a skirt.
For girls?
In a skirt. No, actually against girls. She's just wanna.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, pick me girl. So she's beloved by men.
Is it on Instagram or where's she at?
Yeah,
I'll look
YouTube
her up right now.
everywhere.
No shit.
Yeah, but I think it's a clickbait.
Pearl. Just her name is just Pearl?
Yeah, just Pearl.
Okay.
She hates women, basically.
I love how we started with. I don't want to.
That's the content.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Is that her?
No.
Watch Pearl. Okay, no, all right. I don't even get it suggested. Oh, that one, Pearl Humbles.
Oh yeah, you should, the podcast and everything.
Oh, I think I have seen her somewhere.
Yeah, she has some extreme opinions, and I think that's why women are triggered by her.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
So
she's like an Andrew Tate
for
not for women in skirt because she hates women.
Female
as well.
Andrew Tate for men. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, for men, you should check her out.
Do you think I've seen some clips
I'm
of her?
actually promoting Pearl.
I was gonna say. I don't
wanna.
I've seen some clips of her. Do you think she actually?
I don't think she thinks that.
You just think it's just like I'm gonna say it and I'll go. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What does she? Does she sell something? Does she have like a Pearl Academy or something?
I don't know, but she was in Piers Morgan. Mm-hmm.
But also that doesn't mean anything. That's the crazy thing. Our generation, we're still like.
Maybe she's selling some courses. I don't know how to
I was gonna
be a
say.
good wife or something.
Yeah.
Like sit at home and be submissive to your man and
50% of women will be single and childless. Marriage is never returning. But here's the thing: when we say she was on Piers Morgan, our generation is like, wow, that must mean a lot.
Yeah.
Probably Piers Morgan gets less views than the average TikTokers. You know what I mean? Like, what does like a clip from Piers Morgan get? You know what I mean? So it's crazy when you actually see the numbers of traditional media.
Yeah, you can tell how old I am.
yeah. And you're like, oh, traditional media, yeah, but then they get like the evening news, whatever, they get like 100,000 views. Like, that's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, some fucking YouTube, like PewDiePie, gets like 1 million views per episode. Or PewDiePie isn't even in anymore. Like
but
Mr.
it's as well
Beast, for
so
example.
dangerous that, you know, like now everyone can have a podcast. Everyone can
Fuck yeah.
have a channel. And there are some people out there that they should not have a microphone access. You know what I mean? Like, it's really dangerous for young people, especially. They can be influenced.
Also, I mean, again, like you said, like, you're young. I know this because, like, I used to teach dating advice.
Yeah.
Like, for people who, a lot of people don't even know that. They just know me from the business stuff now. And I'm like, yo, like, I used to say really provocative shit. I used to have like a crazy beard.
Check that out.
Check it out. Like, I mean, also, this is the stuff I would wear. I would wear just tank tops, Jurassic Park tank tops, crazy beard. I wouldn't look as professional. I'd had 0 tattoos back then, which is funny. So like that shit is online forever. I was 20 and I was like, fuck it, I'll make a video on how to get laid on Tinder, right? Like nowadays I'm like,
With a 20.
do I really
At the
still
age of
agree?
20, loads of experience.
Exactly. I did have a lot of experience on Tinder, I gotta say. But the whole point
Was
is
there
like,
a Tinder back then? No.
Yeah. It just came out. I was 23 or 24. It was the new thing. Everybody's like, have you heard of Tinder? It's like online. You just swipe.
Okay.
It was super funny. Back then on Tinder, there was no Tinder Premium or whatever it's called. And you could do unlimited swiping.
Okay.
And there was no algorithm.
I was never on Tinder. There was never...
Yeah.
There wasn't...
It was crazy.
There was no Tinder back then.
For me, it was like the new thing. I was 23 or something. And there was no algorithm behind Tinder. So nowadays, when you're on Tinder, it's like... If you swipe left, meaning you say no, like over whatever 90% of times, you get matched with the opposite sex equivalent that says no to 90%, right? Okay. So if you're a guy and you're very needy and you're like swiping right on every other girl, the algorithm is like, oh, that person's really needy, so let's not show him to the highest quality top tier women because they're less likely to be attracted to these guys. Oh. So back then, though, when it just started, that wasn't the case. There was no algorithm. It just showed you people. So we would just be like, don't even waste your time figuring out who you like and who you not. Just swipe right on everyone. And then whoever matches, then you filter out. So we would just sit there for hours having just conversations, watching TV, and just swiping right like this the whole time. And then, you know, all your matches would come in over time, and then you would just mass copy paste DM everyone that you like. Like that used to be our Tinder game.
I think that's as well the problem with nowadays dating. That's why I make a content out of it as well. And it triggers a lot of men. Because
they suck.
No, because, you know, like people go on dates and they go for a walk, right?
Okay.
They go for a walk. Like men invite you on a date and they go for a walk or for a coffee date.
Yeah.
And I might be old modern, but that's low effort for me. But then I realized it's probably like this because they meet with complete strangers from the apps and they go on dates for like 3-4 dates a week. And therefore, like you can't afford to go on a just for drinks, right? You have to go for a walk. You just walk with strangers and that's the date. Because like I used to go on dates, then I already knew a person. Like either I met through friends or you know, like I knew from I don't know, from uni or from like in real life dating. So you just go and you go for drinks. Like you don't have to go for dinner, but you go for drinks. Now you just go for a walk. So it's like, you know, on a neutral ground. If you don't like someone because you don't know them, you just spoke on them on the internet. You
can just fuck off if they suck right away.
And that's why when I post videos about going on a date for a walk and I'm like, I'm not a dog, and then people like, you're not gonna walk me in the park, and then guys are just triggered like, oh, she's a gold digger. And like,
all right,
yeah, gold digger, because you can't afford like you know, €5 glass of wine to go on a date. And it's quite often guys who call you gold digger, these are the ones that don't have any gold to dig. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, because the guys that have, they kind of like,
They don't mind.
They don't mind.
Yeah,
they don't
fuck
even
it.
think about it. It's
Good
so
point.
natural for them.
That's
And it's
90%
not about
of the
spending.
reason why they got money in the first place. So
Yeah.
they get hot girls.
Yeah, but it's not, you know, it's like, it's going for a drink. It doesn't cost you much. Like, you can afford that, even
Yeah.
when you work like 9 to 5 normal job.
But to be fair,
Yeah.
I think I have, I think I'm partially responsible for stuff like that.
Really?
That's what we used
Tell
to
me.
teach. And we used to teach.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, for other reasons, we're like, look, we used to literally teach guys, hey guys, go on a date, but don't give her the usual go for drinks bullshit.
Really?
Do something with her, include her in your day-to-day life. That was always our logic of, because number one, it puts a little bit of pressure on the girl to be like, let's go for drinks, because it's more of a formal thing. And the girl's like, oh, it's official, we're going for drinks. But if you're like, hey, I got to go to the thing, I got to go buy a shirt, whatever, come with me, go join me. So it's a little bit of a lower expectations on the
So
girl.
you're like a sales assistant, stylist.
Not that also, because now you can
You
make
get
it
the
really
stylist
fun.
advice for free.
You get it real, because now you can make it fun. So instead of just
Yeah, but then
sitting
she cannot
across from
tell
each
you
other.
like, oh, you don't look good in this on the
Fuck
first
yeah.
date.
I was
On
told
the
that
first
all the
date.
time.
On the first date, like you cannot tell.
Here's what I would do, okay? I would always, so funny, my first dates all used to be, I need to buy a shirt.
Really?
I would just buy
And it
5
worked?
shirts per fucking week. Yeah, and I would always just
5
go.
dates per week.
Yeah.
You were a busy guy.
I mean, like I said, back in the days. I would just
busy,
always
busy
buy-
guy or unemployed?
That also student, just so,
Yeah.
but the funny thing is, so now you go to the store, right? And you're like, number one, it's low pressure. It's just like, hey, let's go there, blah blah blah. And then the other thing, what we would always do is I'd always give a challenge, and I'm like, okay, you find me an outfit, and I find you an outfit, and then we have to try it on. So of course I would try to get her the shittiest, weirdest outfits ever, like the granny dress and stuff. And the girls would really give a damn. They're like, "Well, your color type is
Yeah.
there," and they would pick out this nice outfit, and I just grabbed the first dumb thing. I
Yeah,
would
low
find.
effort.
Yeah.
Low effort, and girls always making effort.
And then you're gonna, so far you're like, oh, this Max guy is nice, but you're gonna hate me more and more. So then I would be like, well, I bought
You're
the
young
shirt
and
now
stupid
for
then.
$9.
Yeah.
I don't want to carry this around. I need to bring this home. You know what? Come with me. And then, it's even better. Okay, that was me over 10 years ago, right? Then I'd be like, I don't want to buy $9 H&M t-shirts all the time. I'm a student. I have no money. Let me buy a postcard instead. So I'm like, I need to buy a postcard for my grandma. Like a 50-cent postcard. And I'm like, I don't want to carry this postcard around with me the whole time. Help me bring it home.
And it worked.
Oh, always, every
Oh
single
my
time.
God, we need to teach our daughters better. Honestly.
But then
But
again,
see
like,
this, that you have to, that this manipulation that you have to kind of like manipulate.
that's how life is as a 20-year-old guy. You think you need that. You
Yeah.
think like, oh, you need an excuse and so on and so forth. And then the older I became, I'm like, look, I really like you. Would you like
More
to spend more time?
straightforward,
Would
yeah.
you like to come home and we'll watch a movie together or something like that?
But
Or
I
would
think
you like to
that's
have a
why it
drink?
should be illegal to get married in your 20s or make
Oh.
any life-changing decisions in your 20s.
Because you're young and stupid, or what do you mean?
No, because I think you have different needs than in your 30s.
Mm.
And I think what you like in partner, you might not like it when you
Amen to that.
in 30s.
That was one of the things I also noticed as a young guy in my 20s. I thought I like a certain type of woman. For example, I always thought my partner needs to be super ambitious, super driven, like me, right? Like needs to get shit done. And then I've been with these women and I'm like, holy fuck, get me out of here. This is horrible. Because I'm just hustling and grinding. She's hustling and grinding. Now we're in a competition. Like when I want to
Yeah.
relax and she's hustling, I feel bad. And then I would meet a lot of women that are the polar opposite. The thing that I always thought I never liked. This like, oh, just chill, go with the flow. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the perfect balance.
Yeah.
Because I'm grinding, hustling, trying to conquer the world. And then I come home and she's like, let's sit down. Let's watch a stupid Disney movie that I would never watch myself, right? Because I'm like, oh, that's not productive. But now the girlfriend would have this influence on me. And all of a sudden I'm relaxing and I'm like, this is good. And I can't wait to go back to work tomorrow. And this is really beautiful. And my girlfriend is exactly like that. Complete utter opposite. Her personality type is adventurer if you go 16 personalities, and my personality type is like commander, like I need to be in control, I need to get shit done, and she's just full on go with the flow, like whatever. Like we would lie in bed at midnight going to sleep and she's like, oh, I didn't drink any water today, oops. Right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you don't have your 2 bottles of water prepared next to you so you get your perfect intake every hour? She's like, what? No, what the fuck? What, are you stupid?
Yeah.
So she's this perfect balance, and I never knew that until, like you said correctly, until I had it in my 20s. And I think this is very, very important for a lot of men and women to try things out. I'm not saying sleep with everyone, but I'm saying be with other people, find out what you like and what you don't, because a lot of times you have societal expectations of like, you're supposed to like this, and then you think you like that, but then you are with a person like that and you're like, this sucks, I want someone completely different.
I always say to my single friends or to friends in their 20s, I'm like, look, this is the only time where you have it for yourself. Like before you have a family, before you have kids and husband, like you can do whatever the fuck you want, and you should really focus on yourself and be selfish. This is the time. This is your time. Like you should not, like, oh, I want to go to college, but my boyfriend is staying in my hometown, so I'm not gonna go.
Oh,
no, fuck that.
Fuck that.
You should go travel. You should take this job and not look, oh, because of my boyfriend or whatever. You should just, learn, do mistakes, and just do as much as you can.
You have a very interesting and very well balanced amount of feminism within your lifestyle. Have you seen feminism going too far? We've talked about toxic masculinity. Do you see toxic femininity? What's your take on that?
Well, for sure. Like, people think I hate men when I have these videos, but it's not about hating men. I hate the system, the patriarchy, right? And I know there are good men, like good women, the same thing. But like any ideology, it goes to extreme and it's practiced not in the right way, right?
Do you think?
So you need to find the balance between like.
That's my question. Where's the line for you? Do you think, for example, companies should hire women to get to 50% employment?
Well, I think that's the lack of representation is quite huge, because like who can relate to us women other than women, right? And even in like parliament and government where the laws are made, they probably would be made differently when there were more women. Yeah, because men deciding about our bodies, it sucks.
That makes sense. That's on a political level. Obviously, Vox Populi, you want the people in charge to represent the people.
In companies, in professional world, well, I think it goes back as well to our childhood, where girls from the very early age are taught to behave certain way, to their light is being deemed from the very young age. Like you need to behave certain way. You are not allowed. It's not, you are a girl. You shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't be swearing. You shouldn't be that. Boys are allowed to be themselves, and they are encouraged to do things. And I think that's why they are more ambitious. They're more assertive, and they more go-getters, and they go for it, and they're more confident. And women, we've been taught our whole life to sit. Like to take a back seat, right? Like, oh, you're not going to find a husband behaving like this. Or you need to think you are at this age, you should have a child. Or, there's so many roles that are given to us that you kind of like, you need to fit in the box. So I think that's why women probably earn less, because they don't believe in themselves to go for this. And that's why they don't get the promotion as well, biological side, right? She's gonna have a baby.
Yeah. That's again, like that's the root cause. But again, the question is, do you think companies should hire just based on the goal of getting a 50-50 representation?
I think they could give us a chance more for women to change, because when they see these little girls, when they see women doing more and being more present in these companies, they will believe in themselves, and then they start being go-getters as well.
So it's like a role model function of women in certain places to
yeah, and I think obviously when she sucks, then, you know, change it, right?
Okay.
Like if she's not good for the job, but when they have the same qualifications, it's quite often that the man is going to get the job because of the
because they don't get pregnant and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a disadvantage that we have. It's advantage and disadvantage, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I
There
never
should
thought
be
about it
like
that.
that's why we quite often, you know, like we take a step back, because when you're pregnant, then you have a child 2-3 years out of your life, like your career is
completely on pause.
Yeah.
Almost.
And then even when they like 3-4, you probably go back part-time, working part-time.
Yeah. And in places like Austria, you still got to pay for that as an employer, right? Yeah. Because I always think internationally, like in the States, I don't think can women get in?
No.
They're just like,
They're
sorry
like
for you.
2 months.
Good luck.
They get paid 2 months. My sister lives in States.
2 months.
2 months. Yeah. They 2 months, and then you. I think you get, maybe you get paid a little bit, but you know, like they kind of forced to go back to work.
That's so
There's
crazy.
no maternity. Like you need to pay so much money to give birth. Like you pay
that too. It's like $100K or something.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. To pushing baby out of my body.
Yeah. Like I'm doing all the work here. God damn it. Yeah. I saw
It's ridiculous.
A receipt, a breakdown of the costs. Okay, of someone giving birth, and it's like, whatever, anesthesia, doctor, nurse, and then one is like holding the baby, $5.
Holding, really?
They're like,
holding your baby.
That was so funny. I'm like, what?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this is the charge for you to be allowed to hold your stupid baby.
Making money out of anything.
Like for us, like I'm born Austrian and I grew up here. Like coming from a social state, it's unheard of. Like, what do you mean you're not going to get paid by the government while you're on maternity leave?
Yeah, but the social state in Austria is exaggerating as well.
That's the whole thing. So
right?
I'm someone
there should be a balance.
That's the thing. I'm like, I profited. My mom was bringing 3 kids up, right? So she got money from the government, and then she was smart about it. She used that to bring us up, and then she studied psychotherapy next to bringing up 3 fucking kids alone and working 2 full-time jobs. So I'm like, that makes sense. But then also, I have friends of mine who are like, I get paid, I think 80% of my usual salary if I'm unemployed. So I'm working, and it starts kicking in after me being employed for 6 months, something like that. So they're like, cool, I'll work for 6 months.
Yeah.
And fuck off, I'm not going to work after that. I get 80%. And then like every whatever X amount of months, I have to go get a job for another couple months. So I'm like, that's the opposite of it. I've seen both extremes. I've seen like my mom got everything she needed in order to thrive and bring up children. But then I also see people just taking advantage of it and just being fucking lazy. Yeah. And that's the problem with social states.
I think the people who work hard, who earn good money, they are kind of punished.
Exactly.
With a tax, with a 50% tax.
That's insane.
To kind of finance people who are
lazy.
Who are lazy. Not always the case, but quite often the ones that abuse the system and they use the system, right? Because what's the point going to work in McDonald's, wash the dishes for, I don't know, 1,500, where you can get it, or where you can get it from the government sitting watching telly. And, you know, for some people it's enough. Like they don't want to do more from life. They don't want to travel. They're just happy watching TV. And sit on the couch, right? Mm-hmm. And they just get their 1,200 a month, and you know, make more kids to get more.
That's
it's fine.
Arguably, at least from what I've seen, even stronger with young girls. That problem. I have a lot of female friends, a lot of very attractive female friends, and they're like, "Oh, I don't work. Why the fuck would I work?"
Really, young women.
Yeah, I mean. 18 plus, 18, whatever. They're attractive, and as long as they're attractive, you just go into their DMs. I mean, I'm sure you get DMs like that, and it's like a guy who's like, hey, can I fly you out to Dubai? I'll pay you 15K. So for this girl, she's like, in order for me to get 15K, I have to work a year, all right, at a shitty fucking job as a cashier or at fucking whatever the fuck it is. Or I fly out of the guy. He looks decent. He pays me 15K. I mean, sure.
Yeah, but he pays for what?
What's the implication? But yeah, whatever. Better, one night or however many nights beats a year of fucking working, getting up at 7 a.m. While I know Jenny, my friend, she was in Dubai. She got 15K, whatever. She came back with a Gucci handbag, new iPhone, and she's just fucking chilling on the beach all day. Now it's summer. I have to go to fucking work. Fuck that.
Yeah, but it's not going to last forever, right?
As a young person, do you think that long term?
Yeah, well, hopefully she's going to invest this money
Yeah.
or start a business. I hope she,
so.
She can make this money and then put on a side and then, grow her business.
Let's fucking hope so.
Yeah.
But again,
hope she's clever about the
that
money.
Gucci bag looks really fucking nice.
Yeah, on Instagram, everyone has it.
That's what I'm saying, right?
That's the thing.
You're
Everyone wants to have it.
You're
but there's
thrown
so
into
many.
this pod of like, hey, you could just work honestly for a
artificial-
year, and then maybe when you're 30, you can have, or the guy pays you 15K, and you can get that Gucci bag right now, and all your friends are gonna know you're prettier than them. So you're like, fuck. It's like I don't know what I would do if I was a girl in my 20s. I'd be like, fuck the work. I'll get that Gucci bag.
I'm sure men, if they could, they would.
Exactly.
But no one's gonna pay for sex with men, like no woman,
I
or
can
for
tell
their
you
feet
stories.
pictures.
I can tell you stories. I know guys, you predominantly
Really?
fitness influencers, okay, straight heterosexual men, and they're like,
They're getting DMs.
and they're like, well, I'm not gay, but 35K is a lot of money for
Seriously?
one dick I have to suck. Yeah, I know. Literally, there's this one guy. He wanted to become our client, and he's like, "Oh, I want to do a fitness program." And then he's like, "Actually, I live in Dubai now." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, I'm not gay, but it's really good money." And I'm like, "All right."
Oh wow.
So there's guys who do that too. My question is though, I mean, I'm sure over the years you've gotten DMs like that. Give us some guys
well,
offering you.
not really.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm too old.
But
I don't know.
But they don't know
I
your
think-
age on this. It doesn't
No,
say
they
your age on
don't.
Instagram.
But no, somehow, like I get the DMs with sugar daddy. I want to be your sugar daddy. Blah blah blah.
There you go.
And I always say like, okay, should I send you my bank account? And then it finishes, like it ends because I want to go. I want to see how it goes. Like, does it work?
And
You
they
know?
just ghost you after that? They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
no.
just like they just say, I want someone to talk to. And I'm like, okay, sure, we can talk. I'm like, should I give you my bank account then?
That's
you know?
interesting. So they say they want someone to talk to?
Yeah,
Do you think they're just lonely?
might be. I don't even know if these are like real people, if it's really an old sugar daddy guy, or I don't know who that is.
who else would it
Like
be?
I've never had a successful DM that it's I got some money from it. So I always wanted to see how it got. How does it work?
Yeah.
And I actually never heard of any girls that got DMs from these people
No shit.
that they got some money.
Okay. Then you hang
If
out
you
in
do,
really
just
good-
comment on this picture. I want to see.
Comment
Comment on
stories.
on the stories. Like if it ever happens.
What's the weirdest DM you've ever gotten? I mean, again, like you must be getting funny,
No.
weird shit.
No, not really.
You're really lucky then. That's really good. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
What did you get?
Oh, I was gonna say even I got weird shit. I got guys too that like, can you send me a photo of your feet? I'll give you $1,000.
Of
And I'm
your-
like, I got like hobbit feet. They're like hairy. I'm like, I don't know.
Did you
if
send
you're-
it? You should
No,
have
no,
sent
no,
it.
no. I
Why
should've
not?
sent-
You should have
You
sent
didn't
it.
pay me $1,000. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but as well, I think like with the feet pic, like you can just Google it.
Yeah,
And
just
you get
random
so
feet,
many
yeah.
feet, and
Yeah,
on
they don't know it's
Instagram,
yours, yeah.
everywhere there are like feet. I
Good
don't know how
point.
they
I've-
make money.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I've had guys back in my dating times asking me if I wanted to have sex with their girlfriends. They're like, "Could you please have sex with my girlfriend?"
Because I can't, or
No, because like it would be
It
an
turns them
honor
on.
like
Ah.
that. Like it would be great.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm
so weird.
yeah, and I'm like, send me some
But
photos.
don't you,
Let's have
but don't you find it funny as well that actually, it's men who gonna get paid for some random women feet or some random worn underwear. right?
They pay for it. Then they don't
Yeah.
get paid. They pay for it.
No,
Yeah.
they pay for it. I mean, like, they are willing to pay for it. Do you know any woman that would pay for men's used underwear? Right?
Maybe David
Maybe
Beckham
few.
or something like that.
I don't
yeah.
know, maybe few, but there's not that many.
I'll tell you
there
why.
is a demand, and women just monetizing from it.
For sure.
Right?
And I'll tell you why that is. For a lot of men, and this is the crazy part now, for a lot of men, it's easier to make $1,000 that they can then throw on a girl to get her wet panties than to actually learn how to walk up to a girl, be confident, and attract her so he would get her panties. Like, legitimately, for us men...
It seems like that's the only goal they have.
Exactly, but
Just
for
laid
sure,
back, right?
Also,
Get laid.
there's a lot
I
of
mean-
dynamics between us. Like, oh, if she gets me the panties, I know I'm a cool person, whatever, right? There's like some psychological triggers that are behind that. But the thing is, it's so damn difficult and intimidating for a man to walk up to a woman they find attractive, especially if she's very attractive. Talk to them, not be fucking nervous, not be a fucking idiot, and have a good conversation, and then have that girl agree to meet you somewhere, and then have a good date, and then go home with you and have sex. Like, there's so many intimidating difficulties
Because
that
of the
you're-
rejection.
Yeah, that you're facing.
but
that a lot of
nowadays-
men are just like, you know what? Fuck all that. Let me just make a ton of money. That's easier, and then just pay them. That's because, like you said, the rejection that comes along with it, the reality
But
you have to face.
nowadays,
with
young
it.
women, they approach men.
That
They go for it.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm a different generation.
I know. I'm a different generation. I would never.
You know, here's the funny thing. I can literally tell you how many times a woman approached me. 2 times.
Yeah.
In my entire life.
And
2 times.
did you reject them?
Once, yes, because on accident. And the other time, not. At least I had a conversation with her.
I think what I've heard, like, guys really like it.
Fuck yeah.
Like, they really... So they...
But here's the
right?
thing.
Because they obviously... They know that the woman is interested. So it's like...
For sure we like it, but here's the thing. We're like, is there a camera somewhere? Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, I was, like I said, like, one time I accidentally rejected her because I was freaking out. I'm like, pretty girl talking to me, like, oh, there's probably her friends somewhere. They're laughing at me right now. They're pointing, where's the hidden fucking
prank.
camera? Like,
Yeah.
fuck, what is this? It freaks you out as a guy. It never fucking happens.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. And that's also funny enough when I told my girlfriend, when I got to know her, she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a dating coach. And at that point, I literally made over $1 million within a year. So I made really fucking good money for a 24-year-old or however old I was. No, I was 26 actually. And she's like, oh, poor you. Who the fuck pays for dating advice? Because she's a hawk. She's like, what do
Yeah.
you mean people need dating advice? You just go to a club and you dance.
Yeah.
And then all the people come to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens to you because you're pretty.
Yeah.
As a guy, you could be on the dance floor. You could cry. People would be like, oh, look at the fucking weirdo fucking crying. Nobody
Yeah.
talks to you as a fucking guy unless you're famous, unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
So for women, it's not even relatable. Like really, there's people paying money to learn fucking dating. What a fucking weird is that? Her parents were even like, oh, we're so sorry. Your boyfriend is broke. Like, oh, God, who would pay that? And then I would take her on like awesome vacations. And then they were like, oh, he's probably a drug dealer. Like as a secret. And no, like it was just my fucking business.
Cool.
But that's how it is.
But you're not doing this anymore.
Drug dealing?
No.
Oh, I still do not. I'm just kidding.
Dating.
No, long
Dating
time.
coach.
No, since 2019.
Why not? There's no demand anymore.
Oh no, it's
you
crushing.
taught them all.
No, it's crushing. That's
Okay.
the funny part. I did taught them. They did teach them all, but they're still more in demand than ever. We have clients now that are dating coaches.
Why did you stop?
So first of all, I felt like there was no more progression.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: is like you teach men. There's like a handful of problems they all have. Number one, they have approach anxiety, meaning that they're scared of talking to girls. Number two, they don't know what to say. Number three, they don't know how to be sexual. They all get friend zoned. And that's about it. Those are like the main pillars. So you fix these, right? You bring out content that teaches them exactly like, here's like a verbal structure. Here's how to increase emotions. Here's how to not be boring. Here's how to be seen as a potential sexual partner and not as a friend. You do all that. You fix it, right? And you're like, I fixed it forever. Just watch the fucking video. And then 6 years later, you still get the same fucking problems of the guys. And I'm like, dude, I made the video. They're like, yeah, but I still can't do it. So there's zero progression. With business coaching, someone comes in, they're like, I make no money. Can you help me make money? I'm like, yeah. Now they're making 10K a month. And now you're like, okay, let's make 20K. Okay, so now you're continuously fixing higher quality problems. And then, next thing you know, they have a company, they have employees, they're feeding families and all that. So you have infinite progression. I didn't have that with dating advice. Plus, I was traveling. I was on 4 world tours. Really burnt me out. Like constantly, every Monday travel day, every Monday new city, because I would teach in person. I would later on do online as well, and then to be honest, like I wasn't fully passionate about it anymore, as passionate as I was. My passion was then business. I'm like, I love business. I think about marketing all the time, content creation. So my back then mentors told me like, why don't you just teach business? Fuck it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like I think the second month of us teaching business, we outsold the dating. So I'm like, okay, now that my passion is more there, we make more money. I don't feel like I have anything more to teach. I taught it all. So cool. Fucking let's go. Cool. That was the reason. Yeah. It's been really, it's been an awesome ride. It's really, really cool. And now seeing a lot of the dating coaches as my clients, I get to be behind the scenes and bring them up. It's kind of cool too,
Has the game changed?
It's gotten worse.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said, I have a lot of dating coaches on this podcast, and they're like, it's getting worse. Like, guys get worse every day. They get weirder, way more awkward. Like, I remember when we would teach guys, and I don't know how much more time you have with the parking and stuff. I can go forever. But when I would teach in-person programs in like 2014, 15, 16, we would literally be able to get guys like awesome results. Like I would literally like send a guy home with 5 girls. Granted, he was like really cool. He was literally drowning. We have that even on camera. He was drowning in the girls. They would like, it was this like group of girls and he was in the middle and they would all just like flog into the cab. And then out of this group of girls goes this hand as he's being pushed into the cab. And he shakes my hand as he gets pushed into the cab. Yeah, he was like, yo, like these girls, they just tore my clothes off. Like really cool stuff.
But so the goal was to get laid and not to be in a relationship.
Again, how do you tell guys, hey, do you want to get in a long-term, beautiful relationship with a woman that supports you for the rest of your life? Or do you want to get laid with a lot of girls, right? So that's how you get them in. But a lot of guys then said like, okay, listen, I want to understand the social dynamics. I want to be good at walking up to a girl and having her get to know me so I can then pick a girlfriend for the rest of my life. So there's a whole idea about you want to have abundance too. You don't just want to be confined to a single girl that you maybe know from your social circle. You want to get to know a lot of women, understand who you really want, who you really are, and you want to be able to, if you do see your dream woman somewhere, at least looks-wise, that you have the skill set and the confidence to walk up to her and create something out of nothing. That was always the idea. And anyway, so that was the kind of stuff we used to be able to teach. And then I left the industry in 2018, and ever since then I've talked to a lot of dating coaches, and I asked them that exact question, has it changed? And they're like, dude, we have to teach guys now how to hold eye contact and how to fucking talk for 2 minutes in a row.
Really?
Yeah, that's how, because these guys come in and they're just weird.
But why is that now?
Because of social media. Nobody talks in person. Like you said, we used to talk in person. Now they're all on Snapchat fucking typing. So
you don't have that much practice in real life.
The synapses don't even fucking evolve. Remote work, same thing. It's like, I mean, I notice it. That's why I love the podcast, because I can fucking talk to a person. Yeah. And that doesn't happen usually. When do you talk 2 hours to a person? Never.
Yeah, true.
Right? And it's getting worse. And the craziest thing ever, Jeffy actually told me that. He said a lot of guys, they pay for the coaching. His coaching is, I think, $3,000 for 1 weekend. So he goes out, he flies into a city, he has 3 students, they all pay $3,000 each, and then he goes out with them and, pushes them in social interaction. He says their number of people that pay and then don't show up is increasing dramatically every year. Because again, guys are like, oh, let me pay, let me get this handled, and then they're too scared to fucking show up because they know they're going to be uncomfortable. Or guys would show up on day one, and of course, when you're paying for dating coaching, you're now going to be sent to talk to this girl over there, talk to that one, do this. After one day, they can't handle it. They leave. They're like, I have 2 more days. I'm done. I'm not going to show up. I can't do it. Because of the social awkwardness, but then plus also this whole participation trophy bullshit of like, if you're uncomfortable, then don't do it. But a lot of times you have to push through discomfort, whether it's dating advice
definitely.
or
You
building
need
a
to
business.
come out of your comfort zone to
yeah.
make some changes.
Exactly.
Right?
But we're being taught of like, oh, discomfort is bad, so don't fucking do it. So guys are pussies these days. And again, like it sounds like I'm throwing guys under the bus. That's because that's how I can relate to. I don't know as much the female perspective, which is part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast. So I don't want to sound like I'm throwing guys under the bus, but from my perspective, it's getting worse with guys. I don't know how it is with girls.
Well, I've been in a relationship for the past 15 years. So I don't really know much about dating nowadays. Only I can say from what I hear from single friends. And that's why I do the content, because I'm kind of like surprised how it's going. That's why I make fun of it. That it's very low effort, bare minimum, right? And I think it's because of this generation, because of the apps, people just like, swipe, and it's like in a shop, and they don't really look for true connection. And they always think, okay, maybe I will find something better. Maybe I will find better. So
too much choice,
too much access, right? It's so accessible. Like you can just find someone on the app and you can have sex the same day, right? You don't really need to go out to the club, make some conversations and try to work hard for it. It's so easy nowadays. So I think, because it's easy, because sex is very accessible as well, then they don't really date, or they're just not really ready to commit.
That's another thing I noticed. People don't fight for their relationships anymore.
Definitely, yeah.
Like they're like, oh, just break up. Fuck it. Like just get a new one. And again, like that's one of the things I used to teach, and I don't agree with it fully anymore. I used to just be like, well, you're not happy, or the girl doesn't do what you want. Well, just get a new one. Fuck it. Abundance, right? Yeah. But after having been in a beautiful relationship full of ups and downs for 8 years now, for sure. I'm like, there were situations where we had to fight to stay together, where we had to like be like, okay, that's an issue. Should we just break up? I kind of don't want to break up. I want to figure the shit out with you. Yeah. And I'm so happy we did, because it makes the bond so much stronger. Like I know that like whatever future challenges that are coming, like we'll stay strong together, and we'll figure it out. And a lot of guys and girls don't do that anymore.
No, like, in the old days, where when TV broke, we were fixing it. Yeah. And nowadays we just throw away and get a new one.
That's a beautiful metaphor.
So yeah, and I think as well, I always say, okay, but of course in relationship there are ups and downs, but then I think it's gonna happen with every other relationship. Like you're gonna get a new boyfriend, husband, whatever, and in 15 years you're gonna be probably at the same stage where you fight about, I don't know, laundry or something like this. With every single person, after a certain amount of time, it's probably gonna, it's life. Like you need to find a life partner to do your life with, right? Someone who you tolerate the flaws. Like you need to think, okay, can I live with that, or does it disturb me so much that I can't stand it, that it gives me an ache? So none of the relationships are perfect. It's a work, but I think as well, looking always for something new, because it's this is the generation, right? We have always scrolling all the time, and we can't focus for too long, right? Even watching a movie, you sometimes like, oh, it's boring, because it's not like the short clips that we are used to. And it's the same with relationship, like like first 2 years, it's basically honeymoon, right? And quite often after 2.5 years, the relationship ends. Or either they stay. It's like this level of this having crush on someone and this being in love, it kind of fades away, and then it starts like a real relationship where you love each other, but you're not like in love, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Because you can't be in love all the time. Yeah. Like it's not constant feeling, right? And I think quite often people wants to feel this way again. That's why they look for something new, because they have this like the dopamine.
They need that feeling, that fresh feeling.
That fresh feeling. But you forget that with this person in 2-3 years, this feeling will fade away, right? Like it will go down.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different feeling. Doesn't mean that it's not good feeling.
Yeah.
But it's just not this, excitement where you get something new, exciting.
It's
and I think that's the problem with
that's a problem because
with
also
our society.
I think they're missing out because I think actually that feeling after the honeymoon phase is even better. It's like a soul bond or whatever the fuck. I sound so cheesy now.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
no, but it's a comfort.
It's a deep comfort of like, that person is just part of my life. It's not like, oh, that person is so fucking hot and I'm so excited. Yeah. It's more like,
it's a deepest level.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's really, really, like, again, I can't believe I'm saying this as the ex-dating coach. It's like, yeah, the women. I'm like, I still like also meeting new people and the excitement of being on a date and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, just knowing that there's this partner that knows every facet of you and that you can talk to
and that you can be yourself.
Exactly.
Right? That allows you to be exactly who you are, that you can be goofy around them, that you can, you're not afraid to ask stupid questions. No one's going to judge you or no one's going to, think less about you. That you can actually be yourself and they accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
And with your flaws and your
imperfections.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful thing to have, and I wish for everyone to find this and I think
you just need to, you need to think of do a bit of work, but I feel like no one wants to work these days.
Yeah,
right?
fuck it. God damn it.
Everything is so easy. I wanna make millions, but I don't want to do any work. I want to have a beautiful relationship, but I don't want to do any work.
Yeah, that's a very good way to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Sandra, how can people find you? How can they contact you if they want to collab with you? What's up?
Same Instagram and TikTok is Sandra Imiela.
We're gonna link it down below.
Please do.
And go check her out, folks. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
What a great conversation we just had with Sandra. She's absolutely crushing it. She built her personal brand already, so she's definitely very, very far ahead of the game compared to many other people. And if you also want to build your own personal brand, which I strongly recommend you, then go check out my free video right down in the description below. I've actually looked at some of the biggest content creators in the world, like Mr. Beast or others. I've adapted it to the online world out there. I've used it for my own brand. It helped me make over 200,000 followers on Instagram. It made me over 8 figures so far. It also helped me build brands for my clients. It all paid me a lot of money. And now you're going to get all that knowledge entirely for free because I made a secret video that I'm sharing on my website. There's a link down in the description below where you can see all the important lessons. Go check that out now. I strongly recommend you have a look. That being said, thank you so much for everything. I appreciate the hell out of you.